Yo legends! Welcome back to the channel. Grab your headphones and lock in, because today's story is on another level. Want the next chapter? Drop a comment below, and if the legend continues, I'm bringing it straight to you. Disclaimer: I do not claim ownership of this story. All rights belong to the original creators. Note: I'm constantly tweaking the settings to make it as immersive as possible. One Pace, the Navy's 8-year-old tech maniac. Page 61. Of course, Kaido. How about it? Are you interested in working with me? I really need Caesar and Quinn's skills right now. As long as we can combine our resources and get some Seraph fragments, I think with Vinsmoke's cloning technology it won't be difficult to imitate Seraph. Big Mom said with a wide grin. After hearing Big Mom's words, Kaido's expression suddenly became happy. The smile factory was destroyed, and now Kaido is worried about how to expand his power if they can cooperate to create Seraph. It will undoubtedly be a great thing for Kaido. Big Mom, your suggestion is good. I, Kaido, am willing to join. Kaido was secretly delighted. However, his eyeballs also moved left and right cunningly. However, there is one thing I still need to confirm, that is, how do you think we should distribute the profits specifically? Kaido said with his eyes narrowed. After all, I know Big Mom's personality. What if I get cheated? It will be more trouble than gain. Big Mom's eyes also turned suddenly. Kaido is such a stingy guy. I once did this kid a huge favor. I didn't expect that this kid would be so wary of me. Let's do this, Kaido. After all, the main technology comes from our Vinsmoke family. We are 7 and you are 3. Big Mom murmured through her plump lips. After hearing this, Kaido frowned on the spot. I knew that Charlotte Lingling, this guy, definitely had no good intentions. Just when I was thinking about venting, Big Mom's next words came suddenly. But if you can provide us with the fragments of Seraph, I will split it 50-50 with you. I don't mind, Big Mom said with narrowed eyes. The fragments of this Seraph are the hardest to find. After all, the protection of Seraphim in the Navy can be said to be quite strict. It is almost impossible to obtain Seraph from the Navy. In reality, he had never even seen the shadow of a Seraph. The only thing he had seen was a picture of one in the news. If you want to obtain Seraphim, it will be too difficult. After hearing Charlotte Linlin's words, Kaido's brows finally relaxed. I don't know if it's a blessing. Unlike Charlotte Linlin, the Beast's pirates have both experienced the 2 levels of Seraph Row. Charlotte Lingling, it's a deal. If it's Seraph, I'll find a way. Kaido nodded and said. Then I wish us a happy cooperation, Kaido. In the New World, the huge Moby's sailing. An intelligence soldier suddenly came to Whitebeard, panting. Report, Captain Whitebeard. Just yesterday, Kaido was beaten up at the Marine headquarters, and that guy Kaido escaped. Whitebeard narrowed his eyes and snorted coldly. HMPH, if that guy says that, that's normal. Relying on his own defense, he's causing trouble everywhere. I think sooner or later, this brat Kaido will die a tragic death. Don't report this kind of news. Whitebeard waved his hands. After all, this guy Kaido has caused trouble in the Marine headquarters more than once or twice. The intelligence soldier, however, had no intention of leaving. However, there was a Seraph who looked very similar to Kizaru, and he also participated in the attack on Kaido. And based on its performance, its combat capability has already reached the level of a general. The intelligence soldier said loudly. What? As soon as these words were spoken, everyone around looked over. Everyone showed an expression of surprise and shock. An Admiral-level Seraph? Are you sure you are not kidding? Marco walked up quickly and said in surprise. If it comes to a Seraph at the level of the 7 Warlords of the Sea, I can barely believe it. But a Seraphim at the Admiral level, isn't this simply too outrageous? Even in the entire world, general-level combat power is the scarcest existence. If there were Seraphim of the Admiral level in the Navy, then in the future, even the 4 emperors would not dare to provoke the Navy. From now on, I'm afraid the situation in the entire ocean will change drastically. This is a big event. Jaws, Vista, and others also came over. Yeah, that's impossible. Is your intelligence wrong? The intelligence soldier smiled bitterly. That's Seraph. He has the same level of flash fruit power as Admiral Kizaru. Moreover, he is proficient in the 6 styles of the Navy and even possesses the domineering haki. The intelligence soldier said helplessly. This time, even Whitebeard was completely shocked. Overlord color? A robot can actually use Conqueror's haki. Marco, Jaws, and the others all widened their eyes. As for Kizaru, his main combat power is his Devil Fruit ability, so if this Seraph had the same level of Devil Fruit ability as Kizaru, his combat power would already be at the level of an admiral. What's more, he possesses such terrifying physical strength and even the domineering haki. I understand. You go down first. Whitebeard spoke seriously, rarely. Now Ace has been taken to the underwater prison. Needless to say, the Navy will definitely make trouble for Ace in the future. And if that's the case, the days of his pirate group fighting against the Navy will probably be few days away. At this moment, news came that there was an admiral-level killing machine in the Navy. This was tantamount to huge bad news for the Navy. Chapter 74 Shanks. We want to develop technology. After the intelligence soldier left, the atmosphere on the entire Moby fell into silence. Dad, this is not good news. Look, the next move. Whitebeard suddenly stood up, and a terrifying aura of a king filled the air. Humph. No matter what, my Whitebeard pirates will not be afraid of some damn Navy. Ace, I must rescue him. Then, the previous silent atmosphere disappeared, and in its place all the pirates on the Moby burst into fierce shouts one after another. Long live the Whitebeard pirates! Rescue Ace! On the New World, Red Hair was also the first to receive the news about Kaido's arrest. The cotters standing beside him all showed playful expressions. Ha ha ha. As expected of Kaido, he's the champion of taking a beating. If you are so arrogant and go to the Marine headquarters, you will definitely get beaten, Lakalu said while gnawing on his big chicken leg. Page 62. Jesus Boo also had an expression of contempt. Yes, I really don't know what Kaido thought of. His memory has not improved at all. Red-haired Shanks took a bottle of beer and drank it all, then looked at Beckman beside him. Beckman, what do you think about this matter? Red-haired Shanks said with his eyes narrowed. Beckman lit a cigar and took a deep puff. Then, a large amount of smoke filled the air. Then Beckman walked step by step to Shanks. Kaido, fighting like this is nothing. But Shanks, have you noticed anything else that's wrong? Shanks also narrowed his eyes tightly. It seems that you have discovered it too, Beckman. Shanks said seriously, squinting his eyes. The other pirates, who were laughing and joking before, suddenly fell silent. What do you mean? Really? You cultured people, can you please stop hesitating when you speak? Lakalu muttered as he took a bite of his chicken leg. Shanks no longer kept the secret. Look, this guy who looks like Kizaru, his fighting ability is not weak. Shanks' eyes suddenly became sharp. Hawkeye Mihawk, who was standing next to him, also had a sudden flash of light in his eyes. Then, the whole person looked carefully at the pictures in the newspaper. Although in this photo, Kizaru's figure is very weak, but after my own detection, it is not difficult to find that this person is not Kizaru at all. Mihawk is naturally more familiar with this guy who looks like Kizaru than anyone else. He had personally experienced and fought against this terrifying killing machine. This guy, he's a killing machine, a Seraph. Hawkeye Mihawk said suddenly. According to the report in this news, his combat capability has already reached the level of a general. Beckman narrowed his eyes tightly and added. As soon as these words were spoken, the cotters around who had been mocking Kaido were completely shocked. A general-level killing machine? Wow, this kind of thing is even more shocking than Kaido's defeat. In that case, the Navy's combat effectiveness, looking at it now, it's simply unfathomable. Jesus Boo swallowed hard and said in disbelief. Beckman also slowly exhaled a puff of smoke. Yes, from this perspective, the Navy's combat capability is simply unfathomable. With the first Seraph, I'm afraid the second, third and even more Seraphs can be created. Shanks, it looks like we have to make plans soon. Beckman narrowed his eyes tightly and spoke seriously. After hearing Beckman's words, the surrounding cotters showed exaggerated expressions. If this kind of horrible thing were mass-produced one thing, they can still deal with it. If the quantity is large, well, I can't even imagine that kind of scene. That's the combat power of a general. Do you think that's a joke? Even in the Red Hair Pirates, the average combat effectiveness of their cotters is the highest among the 4 emperors. But in their pirate group, there are no more than 3 people who can reach the level of Admiral in combat power. Just 3 Admiral-level Seraphim are able to hold back the 3 strongest members of their pirate group. How can we fight this battle? Even Shanks, who was always optimistic, breathed a sigh of relief after hearing Beckman's words. Yes, if you don't make plans early for things like this, and wait until the Navy takes action against you, then by the time you think about preparing it will be too late. Thinking of this, Shanks couldn't help but laugh bitterly. I really don't know what's going on in Xia Yu's head. That 8-year-old kid, it seems that technology is a good thing. Are there any technological talents in our pirate group? Shanks suddenly asked. Now, Shanks finally realized the power of technology and wanted to see if he could gradually catch up with the Navy in terms of technology. Apart from this method, he really couldn't think of a second method. After all, with today's technology, even if you practice hard for your whole life, it will be impossible. A robot made by others in just a few days is more powerful. There's no comparison. After hearing Shanks' words, Beckman shook his head helplessly. There is no way. When Shanks established the pirate group, he followed the principle of dominance above all else. What devil fruit abilities, technological capabilities, they are all weak. I never thought that technology would rise one day. So Beckman could only shake his head helplessly. Seeing Beckman's expression, Shanks gradually showed a trace of sadness on his face. My original purpose was wrong. Haki isn't the strongest, technology is. From this perspective, Big Mom, Kaido, and those pirate groups that are inferior to us are likely to rise, Shanks said with great foresight. After all, Big Mom has always had the support of the Vinsmoke family, and Kaido has been researching artificial devil fruits and poison gas. In comparison, the Red Hair Pirates have no progress in technology. No, this can't go on. Beckman, I have a feeling the sea is going to change. A new era has arrived. We must engage in technology. Chapter 75. Vegapunk also developed Seraph. From today on, you will recruit scientific and technological talents from all over the world. Even if we can't research an Admiral-level Seraphim, it will be fine if we can research a Shichibuka-level Seraphim. Only in this way can we have our place in the future maritime competition. Shanks said seriously while looking at the sea in front of him. Inside the mysterious island, Empress Hancock, who had escaped earlier, also showed a look of horror when looking at the latest newspaper. I can't believe the Navy has actually developed an Admiral-level Seraphim, Empress Hancock said in shock. If that's the case, I'm afraid that even the 4 Emperor's forces on this ocean will be wiped out by the Navy in the future. The Snake Lady standing by looked very serious. At the same time, speculation about the Navy Admiral-level Seraphim spread throughout the world in an instant. Those little pirates who were originally planning to go out to sea, after seeing such horrific news, began to doubt their choices one by one. Are you kidding to think that he could develop an Admiral-level Seraphim? This kid in the Navy named Xia Yu, is he a devil? This is the combat power of a general. Can you get it by spending $2? If that's the case, let alone a general-level Seraph, even if I encounter the lowest-level Seraph in the future, I'm afraid I'll end up being slaughtered. Being a pirate is really too scary. These little pirates who were originally thinking of going out to sea were frightened and went back home. When navies around the world saw such exciting news, their confidence was greatly boosted. Ha ha ha. As expected of Dr. Xia Yu, he's definitely my idol. They even created an Admiral-level Seraphim. Xia Yu is truly the lucky star of our Navy. In the future, if Seraph is mass-produced, Even if we apply, we can have Seraph come to our place for duty once a day. In that case, I'd like to see which other kid dares to continue to provoke our navy. The navies from all over the country have regained their momentum, which had been suppressed by the pirates in the Roger era. Now they have begun to clamor to eliminate the pirates in the areas under their jurisdiction. And famous pirates from all over the world have recently been reluctant to come out. This Xia Yu is simply a monster. I really can't understand why a terrifying existence like Xia Yu would appear in this ocean. What are we pirates going to do in the future? At Marine Headquarters, Marineford, Vegapunk, leading a small robot, was heading towards Sengoku's office. Page 63. Hahaha, Jan Guo, you old bastard. Didn't you look down on me before? Isn't it just a Seraph? I, Vegapunk, can also create it. Vegapunk was extremely proud. In fact, I had the idea of creating Seraph several years ago. If you really want to make it, you can make it. However, if this is the case, it will waste a lot of money. That's why I haven't brought it up yet, and now I have finally overcome the funding problem. When he arrived at the marshal's office, Vegapunk walked in without even knocking on the door. After seeing that it was Vegapunk, a hint of impatience appeared on Jan Guo's face. If you don't compare, you can't tell if we compare them. Vegapunk is far behind Xia Yu. Xia Yu always calls him Uncle Jan Guo, and he's very polite, unlike this Vegapunk, who has no manners at all and, more importantly in terms of scientific research, Dr. Xia Yu is completely ahead of Vegapunk. What's the matter with you coming to see me? Jan Guo said, obviously impatiently. After hearing what Jan Guo said, Vegapunk naturally heard the impatient tone in his voice. But Vegapunk didn't care. Just wait, old man from the Warring States period. When I take out my newly researched killing machine, you will beg me to make you a new weapon. I've been researching the funding issues for these Seraphim for a few years now, and Xia Yu is just an 8-year-old kid. He must have created the Seraphim without considering the funding. Therefore, he was convinced that the Seraphim that Xia Yu, this little brat, was studying must be more valuable than himself. The Navy's money doesn't just come from the wind. Therefore, after seeing that the quality of his Seraphim is no different from Xia Yu's Seraphim and the cost is very cheap, Jan Guo will definitely choose his own Seraphim. The smartest man in the world, the greatest scientist in the world, is still me, Vegapunk. Vegapunk, looking very excited. Ha ha ha. I came here this time to tell you something good. Warring States. Vegapunk said proudly. Okay. Good news, it's installed for me. What's going on, Vegapunk? Tell me quickly. I still have a lot of things to deal with. Jan Guo didn't even look up. Could it be that he wants money again to upgrade himself to a pacifist? Chapter 76, Warring States. Vegapunk, your Seraph cost is too high. Didn't I make it very clear last time? With Dr. Xia Yu's Seraph, that kind of thing is really unnecessary. After seeing Jan Guo's performance, Vegapunk snorted coldly and said, just wait, Jan Guo, when I tell you, you will be shocked to death. One day you'll ask me to create a Seraph. Listen carefully, Sengoku, I have developed Seraph. Vegapunk said with a smug look on his face. What? Jan Guo suddenly stopped reviewing the documents in his hands. Vegapunk actually created Seraph? What's going on recently? A technological explosion? It's fine that Dr. Xia Yu developed Seraph, but Dr. Vegapunk also developed it. Oh, really, Vegapunk? Let me see. Jan Guo said excitedly. After all, the more of this kind of thing, the better. It is also a good thing for the Navy to have 2 scientists working on the manufacture of Seraph at the same time. After hearing what Sengoku said, Vegapunk became even more proud. Come out, little bear, Vegapunk said, and then a robot that looked like a little bear walked in directly from outside the door. It also has the characteristics of the Lunalia family. If you don't look closely, you really can't tell that this robot is any different from the robot he studied. What are its functions? Jan Guo asked with interest. Vegapunk became even more proud. He knows the Marine 6 styles, Haki, and the Meatball Devil Fruit. Xia Yu nodded, although compared with Dr. Xia Yu's Seraph, its recovery ability might be somewhat lacking. However, judging from the overall data, it is not much worse than the Seraphim studied by Dr. Xia Yu. If the Navy wants to develop a large number of Seraphim in a short period of time, it still needs Dr. Vegapunk's help. Not bad. How much does a Seraph like this cost? Xia Yu nodded with satisfaction. Vegapunk showed a smug look. Don't worry, I've already achieved the most extreme compression in terms of cost. Each killing machine is only 40 billion berries. Vegapunk said proudly. After all, I have been studying machine costs for many years. It can definitely be cheaper than Xia Yu's robot. In this case, if the Navy wants to collect killing machines in the future, they will still have to come to me, Vegapunk. Before, I heard from Xia Yu that Xia Yu's 7 Warlords of the Sea Seraph only costs 2 billion, but I absolutely didn't believe it. That kind of price either does not meet the corresponding quality standards, or it is just a random price. I am Vegapunk. I have been making robots for so many years, how could I not know this? Xia Yu, the lowest cost will be higher than my quotation. Ha ha ha. Vegapunk felt a surge of joy in his heart. However, Xia Yu's expression suddenly turned ugly. Obviously, in terms of quality, Xia Yu's killing machine is better. But in terms of price, it is twice as high as Dr. Xia Yu's Seraph. Do you really think our sailors are fools? It seems that Vegapunk has been greedy for money before. Nowadays, people are used to being greedy for money and always ask for exorbitant amounts of money. Sengoku is very disgusted with Vegapunk's behavior of treating the Navy as fools. How about it? Marshal Xia Yu, the price of my killing machine is much lower than Dr. Xia Yu's, right? Vegapunk sat directly on the chair and said proudly, All right, Vegapunk. I'm very busy now, please don't bother me. Do you know how much Dr. Xia Yu's robot costs? Xia Yu frowned, showing his impatience. Sensing the impatience in Sengoku's tone, Vegapunk also had a premonition. Could it be his Dr. Xia Yu's robot cheaper than mine? Then tell me, how much does one of Dr. Xia Yu's machines cost? If his killing machine's price is lower than mine, I will walk out of your marshal's office immediately without saying a word. Vegapunk said excitedly. Xia Yu raised the corners of his mouth slightly, revealing a sarcastic smile. Listen up, Vegapunk. Dr. Xia Yu, his robot, if it's a Shichibukai-level robot, it's worth 20 billion berries, and if it's an Admiral-level robot, it's worth berries. If we calculate based on Dr. Xia Yu's cost, your Seraph barely reaches the level of a 7 Warlord of the Sea, and is worth at most 15 billion berries. When the price comes down, come talk to me again, Xia Yu said very unhappily. Xia Yu deeply detested such greedy scientists. Page 64. Why can't we be like Dr. Xia Yu, who is dedicated to the justice of the Navy and leads an honest life? Afterwards, at the signal from Sengoku, Vegapunk was directly carried out by 2 Navy officers. Being pushed around finally brought Vegapunk back to his senses from his previous shockwave. Xia Yu, what did you just say? Are you sure you're not kidding me? His Seraph is really only worth 2 billion Baileys? Also, what on earth is this Admiral-level Seraph you told me about? Could it be that Xia Yu actually developed a Seraph at the Admiral level? Vegapunk was in a state of extreme confusion. 20 billion Baileys are enough to create such a complex killing machine. Unlike ordinary pacifists, this one has domineering power and the ability of a devil fruit. I originally thought that after so many years of research, I had already achieved the ultimate reduction in robot costs. Who would have thought that an 8-year-old kid could use only half of his own money to create a robot that is even more terrifying than his own killing machine? This guy is a pervert, outrageous. Furthermore, the general-level Seraphim mentioned by Marshal Xia Yu is even more outrageous. Robots are, after all, robots. He has a maximum limit on his combat power. For an Admiral-level Seraphim, money is no longer a matter of question. Even if you have a lot of money, you may not be able to create such a terrifying thing. How could Xia Yu, an 8-year-old kid, use only 10 billion Baileys to create a killing machine that could not possibly exist in the world? If this is true, even if the Navy spends 100 billion berries to produce 10 Seraphs, it will be able to dominate the world. There is no such good thing, it is impossible. Unless you are an 8-year-old kid, how can you be God? However, no one responded to Vegapunk's words. The door of the marshal's office was also closed directly. Am I really such a weakling? And many more wrong. There must be some misunderstanding in this kind of thing. Maybe that little brat Xia Yu was making it up. Chapter 77. Obtaining the Illusion Fruit. The Empress was peeped at by Mijian Guo. You are the Admiral of the Navy, but you were deceived by an 8-year-old kid. Wait. I'll go to the Naval Science and Technology Department right now and expose Xia Yu's scam myself. Vegapunk looked furious. After saying this, Vegapunk left the Marine headquarters in anger and headed towards Xia Yu's Science Department. At this time, it is located in the Science Department. At this time, Xia Yu, wearing a special white coat, was in the laboratory, carefully observing a fruit tree. The cosmic tree obtained has already produced its first fruit, a yellow fruit that occasionally reflects white light. Seeing this scene, Xia Yu couldn't help but feel curious. This was a technological product within his own system, and it was a technology that consumed even more funds than the general-level Seraphim. Therefore, Xia Yu was still very much looking forward to this fruit. I don't know what magical effect this fruit has. System, can it detect? Xia Yu muttered for a while. Then, he directly used his own system to start detecting. Illusion fruit. The user can instantly move to any place with a mirror and walk out of the mirror. Oh, Xia Yu suddenly became interested. This can be said to be the superior fruit of the mirror fruit. The mirror fruit requires the user to touch the mirror in order to get out. But this fruit is different. Arriving in the mirror world, I can actually connect to all the mirrors in the world. In other words, almost all places in the world, as long as there are humans living there, can be reached. This is a very powerful ability. However, this ability is so powerful, but it also has its limitations. That is, it has a limit on the amount of light that can pass through the mirror world each time. Based on the volume, it can only accommodate 2 people. Come to think of it, that's true. Such a terrifying ability. If everyone could travel through time, the entire middle and high-level combat power of the Marine headquarters, taking advantage of the night, all came to the territory under the command of the 4 emperors to launch a surprise attack without the protection of natural barriers, facing the sudden attacks of Garp, Sengoku, the 3 admirals, and various vice-admirals. The question is which of the 4 emperors' groups can resist. This is a bit too perverted. Just 2 people. However, this ability is so abnormal, it's better to keep it with our own people. The corners of Xia Yu's mouth rose slightly, and a cunning glint appeared in his eyes. Afterwards, Xia Yu started to make noises by himself. In just a few minutes, the power of the illusion fruit had already been added to the yellow flash. I already have the technology to add the devil fruit ability to robots. The power of this cosmic fruit is similar to that of a devil fruit, therefore, it didn't take much time at all to complete the transformation. Xia Yu, who was in a playful mood, clapped his hands and looked excited. On the spot, he let the yellow flash take him out for some fun. Being in the mirror world, Xia Yu was very curious when he saw all kinds of mirrors. Among them, there was a mirror that was exceptionally gorgeous and huge, with various gemstones inlaid around it, emitting colorful light, making it stand out among the group of mirrors. It must be a wealthy family. Xia Yu fell in love with this mirror at first sight. That's it, the yellow flash. Xia Yu looked excited. After hearing Xia Yu's order, the yellow flash activated its own ability. The next moment, Xia Yu felt as if the world was spinning around him. Then, the scene in his field of vision became increasingly vast. Then, it appeared in another area. As soon as I landed, I smelled a burst of fragrance nourishing. Xia Yu took a deep breath. Sure enough, the air outside smells much better than my closed laboratory. It smells so good. And in front of me is also a white expanse, okay? Because of his short stature, Xia Yu looked up directly. Pinquate, this one is. Xia Yu suddenly widened his eyes. Then, in front of him, Xia Yu looked up again. Watery eyes, stunning face. Isn't this the most beautiful woman in the pirate world? Empress Hancock, even when she's angry, she's still so beautiful. Wait, angry? Xia Yu suddenly realized something. Grandma Snake, didn't I ask you to guard the cave entrance? Someone actually saw my body. It turns out that after being expelled from the Seven Warlords of the Sea by the Seraphs, Empress Hancock fled to the forest because she did not want to join another faction and live under someone else's roof. Page 65. Hancock loves beauty and takes a bath every day, which is a natural part of her daily routine. She had just finished taking a shower and was standing in front of her beloved mirror, admiring her figure. Unexpectedly, two strange men suddenly appeared. This really scared Hancock. The old snake lady outside was also completely confused. That's impossible. I've been blocking the entrance to the cave. There's no way anyone can come in. Empress Hancock can't care about so many things. Seeing your man, you must be petrified. Fortunately, as a time traveler, Xia Yu had reviewed many scenes before. He also had a certain immunity to beauties like Hancock. I actually recovered from my previous loss of consciousness run. Yellow flash, run. Xia Yu couldn't help but roar. I am just an ordinary person, and I don't want to be petrified by the Empress so easily. Chapter 78. Vegapunk visits Xia Yu's laboratory afterwards. After hearing Xia Yu's order, the two people in front of Empress Hancock suddenly disappeared strangely at this time. Grandma Snake suddenly rushed in with a mop. Prepare to let those who peek at Empress Hancock taking a bath. It's good to watch. But when he looked around, he didn't see a single person. Hancock, it's already this hour, and you still have the mind to joke with me? Where is anyone here? Then, Grandma Snake threw down the mop in her hand and left. The only one left was Empress Hancock. She touched her head, looking confused. Could it be that the psychological pressure of being chased by the Navy during these days was so great that he actually had hallucinations? It seems that recently I need to have a good rest. At the same time, Xia Yu had already returned to his laboratory from the mirror world. Fortunately unfast. Otherwise, I would be petrified. Thinking of the horrible consequences, Xia Yu's playful nature gradually faded. Randomly moving through mirrors is a very dangerous move. It's better not to play. I almost lost my life just now. Xia Yu breathed a sigh of relief, and then began to study the technology in his system. Now my scientific research funds are huge, and there are many low and medium level technologies that can be unlocked. Then, Xia Yu started searching one by one in the system panel. A piece of technology caught Xia Yu's attention. Super glue capsules. Just put the largest object, even the size of a warship, directly into the capsule. In this way, the volume of the object can be greatly shortened. Although this technique is only low level, it can form a perfect synergy with the mirror fruit. In this way, even the Navy's massive army can be transported through these universal capsules using the illusion fruit. Xia Yu nodded. Right now, the funds are not enough to unlock the Pirate King level Seraph. Simply on the contrary, it can be used directly to unlock a small technology to be used in conjunction with the mirror fruit system. Unlock the universal capsule technology, Xia Yu said directly. Then, he felt a coolness in his head, and the technology of the universal capsule was already well known in Xia Yu's mind. This thing isn't expensive to make. It only costs 10,000 Baileys, Xia Yu said seriously. Afterwards, Xia Yu started making his own capsules. It only took 10 minutes for 10 universal capsules to be made. Looking at the universal capsule in front of him, Xia Yu was relieved. For the first time, the speed is still relatively slow. In the future, we can produce dozens of these things in a minute. Xia Yu nodded with satisfaction and said, At this moment, outside the laboratory, the voices of obstruction from Lieutenant General Xia Yu and others suddenly appeared. Doctor, Vegapunk, no one can pass here. Doctor. Xia Yu is researching confidential machinery inside. The Lieutenant General said in panic. However, Vegapunk didn't care at all. Instead, he started shouting outside. Doctor. Xia Yu, I'm Vegapunk. I heard that you've actually developed a general-level Seraphim. I'm here to discuss this. Why aren't you letting me in? What's the meaning behind this? Vegapunk, who was standing outside, shouted. Vegapunk was no fool, so he didn't dare reveal that he was here to cause trouble, fearing that Xia Yu would not let him in. That's why he wanted to meet Xia Yu under the pretext of exchanging ideas and discussing. Xia Yu, who was in the laboratory, could naturally hear such a loud sound. Vegapunk. It doesn't matter anyway. So Xia Yu walked out. Lieutenant General Burning Mountain, Vegapunk, is also my colleague. He's not a stranger, let him in. Xia Yu said in a baby voice. After hearing Xia Yu's permission, Xia and others nodded. In this way, Vegapunk was finally allowed in. Before, I wanted to see Xia Yu, but was stopped by Zhang Guo. So this is the first time I have seen Xia Yu's true face. Although, I have heard people say that Xia Yu, the top scientist of the Navy headquarters, is about the age of an 8-year-old child. However, it was still hard for him to imagine that the kid who could create a killing machine was only 8 years old. Now Xia Yu is right in front of him, he has to admit it. As expected, he's only 8 years old, Vegapunk said in surprise. By the way, Xia Yu, I heard that you have developed a general-level Seraphim. Can you let me see it? Vegapunk suddenly narrowed his eyes and stared at Xia Yu in front of him and said, If Xia Yu doesn't dare, then it proves that Xia Yu, this kid must be a fake. If he could really create an Admiral-level Seraphim, then this kid's skills would definitely be better than his own, and creating a Shichibukai-level Seraphim worth 2 billion berries would be no problem at all. So Vegapunk, this time he came mainly to see if Xia Yu could create an Admiral-level Seraphim, so as to measure Xia Yu's technical level. Just when Vegapunk's eyes were fixed on Xia Yu, he thought Xia Yu was going to reject him. Who knew that Xia Yu would just laugh? This, of course, there's no problem. Yellow Flash, come out. Xia Yu gave an order, and a seraph in the shape of a yellow monkey suddenly walked out looking at the robot in front of him. Vegapunk was surprised. It turns out to be the appearance of Kizaru, and it's an adult version. The others do have Lunalia's characteristics and are similar in appearance to their own seraph. But this doesn't mean anything at all. Judging from the appearance alone, even an ordinary scientist can create it. I wonder how powerful this robot is in combat. Vegapunk stared at Xia Yu and said with a smile, Only by showing off his fighting ability can Xia Yu be completely exposed. After revealing Xia Yu's true colors, he would be able to show Zhang Guo who is the real #1 scientist by then. Zhang Guo, won't you beg me to buy my Seraph? Vegapunk felt a surge of pride in his heart. Yellow Flash, basic abilities, you don't need to demonstrate them. Chapter 79. Just show your domineering color to Vegapunk. Xia Yu said with a smile. What? Overlord color? Vegapunk once suspected that he was hallucinating. Chapter 79. Vegapunk, you are the world's #1 scientist. That's the domineering color that only those who want to become king can possess. Even if you are human, if you don't have the qualities of a king, no matter how much you practice, you will never be able to obtain the domineering. Or could it be that you, a mere robot, also know the Conqueror's haki? Xia Yu, you little brat, you really can't even tell a lie. I really don't know how you managed to deceive Zhang Guo with your appearance. After hearing Xia Yu's order, the yellow flash flashed for a moment and suddenly appeared in the open area of the laboratory. After all, Conqueror's haki also has a certain degree of pressure. If you are too close to the experimental equipment, it is easy to accidentally damage the equipment. Here I saw the yellow flash and its terrifying displacement ability. In his heart, Vegapunk opened his mouth slightly, unable to hold back a burst of surprise. So fast. This speed is completely comparable to Admiral Kizaru in this case. The speed is not weak. However, looking at the appearance of this robot, we can tell that it is an imitation of Kizaru, and it costs 10 billion berries. At this price, it is entirely possible to create a Seraph with the speed of an Admiral. This can only mean that Xia Yu is quite capable, and nothing else can be said. Thinking of this, Vegapunk smiled confidently again. Ha ha ha, then please doctor. Xia Yu, show me your domineering color. Vegapunk said with his eyes slightly narrowed. Once Xia Yu's robot is unable to display the Conqueror's haki, Vegapunk will immediately report to Zhang Guo and expose Xia Yu. The excited Vegapunk fixed his eyes on the yellow flash, just waiting for Xia Yu to make a fool of himself. Right there, yellow flash, show your dominance. Don't go too far, or you'll damage my experimental equipment, Xia Yu said in a baby voice. After hearing Xia Yu's order, the yellow flash immediately activated the domineering haki. The next moment, an invisible force appeared instantly. The entire laboratory was instantly enveloped. Although Vegapunk is an ordinary person, he also knows something about the Conqueror's haki. Feeling the tremendous pressure on his body, Vegapunk's throat felt dry. This is the king's haki. Vegapunk's eyes were wide open, and he looked terrified. Anyone who is hit by this move feels as if they are carrying a mountain on their backs, their bodies becoming extremely stiff. What's even more terrifying is this fear that comes from the deepest part of my soul, and this inexplicable, irrational feeling of dizziness. It's undoubtedly the domineering haki, Vegapunk said with trembling lips. Vegapunk is no fool either. Since they've even created Conqueror's haki, then creating an attack method that incorporates Conqueror's haki shouldn't be technically difficult at all. There is no doubt that he has the combat capability of a general. Doctor. Xia Yu, I've already sensed the domineering haki. Do you think can I stop it? Vegapunk, his back already covered in sweat, smiled awkwardly at Xia Yu. Now he was just holding onto his body and not falling down. My physical strength has long been used up. My legs couldn't help but tremble. If I don't stop this, I'm going to be embarrassed. Noticing Vegapunk's loss of composure, Xia Yu laughed secretly inwardly. With such a smart head, I naturally realized a long time ago that Vegapunk was here to question me. If I don't teach him a lesson, I'm afraid that Vegapunk will continue to bother me in the future. Stop, yellow flash. At Xia Yu's command, the pressure in the air instantly disappeared, and Vegapunk felt a lot more relaxed after swallowing his saliva again. Vegapunk, with a look of shock on his face, ran straight to the front of the yellow flash. Look left, look right. The whole eye radiates an incomparably bright gaze. There's such a perfect robot in the world. Doctor. Xia Yu, I sincerely admire your science and technology. Xia Yu was surprised and praised. At this time, Vegapunk realized that he had always been unwilling to admit that he was not as good as Xia Yu. After this time, I tested Xia Yu myself. Vegapunk, you lose with conviction. Just this one thing, the technology to allow robots to possess the domineering color. I'm afraid that even if I give myself another 2 years, I will not be able to research it. Xia Yu's skills have far exceeded his imagination. Ha ha ha. Doctor. Vegapunk, you're too kind. I just have some personal insights on robot manufacturing. Unlike you, Doctor. Vegapunk, you are the best in everything from devil fruits, robot manufacturing, artificial creatures, gigantism, etc. You are a versatile person. As someone who traveled from the blue planet, business is a game of mutual praise. Xia Yu is still very good at it. After hearing what Xia Yu said, Vegapunk's mind instantly calmed down a lot. Yes, looking at it this way, I'm a bit narrow-minded. Does everyone have something they are good at? When I go back this time, I will definitely devote all my energy to robot manufacturing. Just wait, Xia Yu, sooner or later I will surpass you in robot manufacturing. Doctor. Xia Yu, you are really too kind. This position as the world's #1 scientist belongs to you. However, Doctor. Xia Yu, I will definitely continue to work hard. I believe that in the future, I will be able to surpass you in robot manufacturing. Let's stop chatting. I'm going back to continue improving my Seraph. Goodbye, Doctor. Xia Yu, Vegapunk said respectfully to Xia Yu. To be honest, in all these years, since I became the world's #1 scientist, I have never experienced this kind of competition. Now that he can relive this feeling, Vegapunk is actually a little excited. Chapter 80, Disappearance Technique. Doctor, Xia Yu is so scary. Seeing Vegapunk was about to leave, Xia Yu did not see him off. Goodbye then, Vegapunk. It just so happens that I also need to conduct my own experiments, so I won't send it to you. Xia Yu waved his hand, and then continued his universal capsule experiment. Although it has been manufactured, its specific effectiveness still needs to be tested. Xia Yu picked up a laboratory chair, put a universal capsule on it, and directly clicked the income button. Then, the chair in the laboratory disappeared out of thin air. Vegapunk, about to leave, suddenly stopped and his eyes widened. Looking at Xia Yu, his face was full of disbelief. Did I just hallucinate? Just now, there was clearly a chair in front of Dr. Xia Yu. What happened? Suddenly disappeared. Could it be that Dr. Xia Yu is a user of some kind of space-type devil fruit? Dr. Xia Yu, just now, I remember there was a chair in front of you, wasn't there? Why is it gone now? Vegapunk asked in confusion, squinting his eyes. Only then did Xia Yu realize that Vegapunk was looking at him in shock. Page 67. Vegapunk, you haven't left yet. The chair just now has been put into this capsule by me. Xia Yu said lightly. What? Vegapunk opened his mouth wide with an exaggerated look on his face. Originally, I thought that this was Xia Yu's devil fruit ability, but now it seems that it is not the case at all. But Dr. Xia Yu's latest invention. Is it possible to compress such a large chair into a small capsule? How did you do it? Vegapunk, with a curious look on his face, turned back to Xia Yu again. Then, under Vegapunk's gaze, Xia Yu pressed the switch again. Out. With the command, the previous chair returned to its original position. As expected, the system's products are absolutely top-notch. There is no such thing as failure rate. The corners of Xia Yu's mouth rose slightly, revealing a hint of relief. Universal capsule, the experiment was successful, Xia Yu said with a smile. After seeing Xia Yu testing high technology with his own eyes, Vegapunk couldn't help but swallow his saliva, and came to Xia Yu again with a look of surprise on his face. Looking at the universal capsules in front of Xia Yu, his face was full of admiration. Dr. Xia Yu, how on earth did they do this? This is space technology that I haven't even mastered. I wonder how much more powerful this is than the low-end technologies I'm researching, such as giantization and artificial life. Dr. Xia Yu, can I take one and have a look? Looking at the dozens of universal capsules on the table, Vegapunk's eyes were shining. I have studied space technology, but it all ended in failure. I even doubted for a moment that there was no space technology in this world now. Vegapunk saw Xia Yu making a chair disappear and reappear casually in front of him as if by magic, and he was shocked to the extreme. It's not that space technology doesn't exist, it's just that I'm too stupid, I can't research it. Returned Xia Yu at the age of 8, he already has such intelligence. Can I, Vegapunk, surpass Dr. Xia Yu in this lifetime? Vegapunk, now thinking about what he said to Xia Yu before, about wanting to surpass Xia Yu. Those ambitious words, I can't help but blush. It's not worth much anyway, so it doesn't hurt to give one to you, Xia Yu said lightly. After hearing Xia Yu's words, Vegapunk was shocked again. This is space technology. You actually said it's worthless. Although this thing looks very small, it contains space technology. Do you understand space technology? That is the most expensive of all technologies. And now, Dr. Xia Yu actually says it is worthless. Perhaps after it is researched and put into mass production, this thing will indeed be worthless due to the maturity of the technology. However, Needless to say, the R&D funds must be huge. Such a precious thing was actually given to me. Vegapunk once again felt ashamed for his previous blindness and suspicion of Xia Yu. So, Vegapunk, without hesitation, took out 1 billion berries in front of Xia Yu and transferred it to Xia Yu's official account in the Naval Science and Technology Department. Doctor Xia Yu, I know you developed these universal capsules. It must have cost you a huge amount of research and development funds, right? Originally, I would be happy to buy it, so how can I let you spend money to give it to me? How about this? I won't give you much money, just 1 billion Baileys. I will definitely remember this favor. Vegapunk's eyes were moist. I can't help but sigh again, Doctor. Xia Yu, whether in terms of strength or technology, completely crushes me. After hearing what Vegapunk said, Xia Yu smiled bitterly. Researching this thing myself wasn't a big deal. I just clicked the unlock button in the system interface store. Since someone wants to be taken advantage of, I won't stop him. In that case, you can take this universal capsule. It's just right. I have to leave here too, so I'll just give you a ride. Xia Yu said hurriedly. Now my universal capsule has been tested successfully, so I naturally have to go to the Navy headquarters to continue to obtain funds. Leading his own yellow flash, he escorted Vegapunk out of the laboratory. Xia Yu then waved his hands at Vegapunk. All right, Vegapunk. In that case, I'll leave first. Xia Yu said in a baby voice. Okay. Vegapunk, you retreat first. What does that mean? Shouldn't I have said this first? The next moment, there was no explanation. At the huge surveillance camera at the door of the laboratory, the yellow flash number and Xia Yu disappeared directly on the spot. Under the influence of the magic mirror fruit, anything that is as smooth as the surface of ordinary glass and can reflect an image can be used as a mirror. Xia Yu used the glass of the monitor as a medium and disappeared directly in front of Vegapunk. Disappeared. The little old man Vegapunk's eyeballs popped out. His eyes were filled with shock. This must be some new technology that Xia Yu is researching. Can actually disappear out of thin air. This space technology is even more powerful than the universal capsule. Gulu. Vegapunk's throat felt dry and he swallowed a mouthful of saliva hard. This Xia Yu's brain must be God's brain. It's horrible, really horrible. Chapter 81. A sudden visit to the marshal's office. Now that I think about it. What, Doctor? Xia Yu said before, that I am a versatile person, was just to comfort myself. If Dr. Xia Yu is willing to research other technologies, I will be beaten in a minute. Vegapunk, standing outside the laboratory, looks completely emo. There is really no way to surpass such a powerful competitor. Any fantastic ideas can be realized through technology. Xia Yu is simply a devil scientist. On the other side, in the Admiral's office at the Navy headquarters at this time, Zhang Guo and the three generals were discussing the recent changes. Ace's execution will be set for a week from now, that's all. Right now, we already have 20 Shichibukai level Seraphim. It won't be long before Xia Yu will be able to create 10 Admiral level Seraphim. The Whitebeard pirates won't be able to stand a chance. What I'm worried about now is Guido and Big Mom. I heard they've formed an alliance. Zhang Guo raised his eyebrows slightly and said with his eyes narrowed. Hearing Zhang Guo's concerns, Sakazuki looked indifferent. Humph, Doctor. Xia Yu is here. Kaido and Big Mom, even if they form an alliance, what can they do? If they dare to come to the Marine headquarters, I will destroy them. Kizaru and Aokiji, who were standing aside, nodded. Yes, Marshal Sengoku, now our navy has the powerful weapon of Seraph. Even if it is the alliance of the two emperors, I think we can defeat it. Kizaru said indifferently. After seeing everyone's reactions, Zhang Guo sighed. If only the problem were that simple. Their alliance this time is mainly aimed at our Seraphim. Zhang Guo said seriously. The three generals around him all looked gloomy when they heard this. Page 68. What? It's targeting the Seraph. Did they obtain something, a method to defeat the Seraph? Aokiji said nervously. Nowadays, the reason why the Navy can be so arrogant on the sea is all because of Xia Yu's Seraph. Now, if a way to deal with the Seraph is found, the Navy's combat effectiveness will be reduced by at least half. That's not the case. How easy is it to defeat such a terrifying killing machine? But their alliance this time is said to be for the purpose of developing Seraph. Jan Guo's face darkened and he said seriously, "What? Research and develop Seraph?" The three generals were all shocked. I really didn't expect that this damn pirate also wanted to study Seraph. But, thinking about it later, it is possible. After all, these two groups, due to their combat effectiveness, are considered weaker among the four emperors. Therefore, these two groups attach great importance to technology. The Vinsmoke family, Caesar and Quinn, these three guys, they were all colleagues of Vegapunk before, and now they have joined forces. Maybe we can really learn from others and research and develop a more powerful killing machine. Asshole. Seraph, we must not let these damn pirates develop it. Or, I will lead the Seraphs to destroy their laboratory, to avoid future troubles. Sakaski took a deep drag on his cigar, narrowed his eyes, and spoke solemnly. As a hardliner, Akenu will not talk too much if he can take action. He will kill all the trash in the world at any cost. This is Akenu's life creed. After hearing Akenu's words, Sengoku sighed. Andy is fine. Kaido's territory, Wano country, is protected by natural barriers. It would be extremely difficult for the army to pass through, and their Seraph laboratories are built in both houses. There's no way we can destroy the Wano country laboratory. If any laboratory keeps it, I'm afraid they may create Seraph. Jan Guo said helplessly, his glasses reflecting a white light. The entire marshal's office fell into silence. From this perspective, the alliance between Kaido and Big Mom is indeed a very tricky matter. Just when everyone was at a loss, the mirror on the marshal's desk emitted a burst of light. During the Warring States period, the three generals all showed surprised expressions. How could the mirror reflect light in this room? Could it be that someone used the power of the devil fruit? Who? Come out. Sakaski narrowed his eyes and scolded. Don't be nervous, it's me, Xia Yu. A babyish voice was heard. Naturally, the senior naval officers were the first to recognize this highly recognizable voice. It's really Xia Yu. But, Xia Yu, where are you? Why can't I sense your presence at all? Marshal Zhan Guo was completely bewildered. His own observation haki is not weak. He clearly heard Xia Yu's voice, but for some reason, even with his observation haki activated, he still didn't notice Xia Yu's presence. The three generals all had the same doubts as Zhan Guo. Xia Yu, where are you? As soon as the words fell, yellow flash and Xia Yu appeared in front of everyone. Such strange ability made even the high-ranking Navy officers who were used to big scenes marvel at it. Brother, what kind of weird devil fruit is this? You can't even detect your observation haki, and you just appeared right in front of us out of thin air. Kizaru looked at Xia Yu, who was standing in front of him with a look of surprise on his face. This strange ability would be extremely terrifying if used for assassination. Observation haki. It suddenly appears in front of you without you even noticing, making you unable to defend yourself. I just want to ask you if you are afraid facing Kizaru's question. Xia Yu smiled slightly. This isn't an invention, it's a devil fruit. Xia Yu said in a baby voice. Devil fruit. After hearing this, everyone showed a look of surprise again. Chapter 82, Warring States suddenly descends upon the 6th floor of the undersea prison. You are really lucky, Doctor. Xia Yu. I've never even heard of this kind of space-type devil fruit, and yet you managed to get it. From now on, it will not be easy for anyone to kill you again, Zhan Guo said with a look of joy on his face. Last time, when watching the video of the underwater prison, Zhan Guo was really scared. If it weren't for Magellan and the others protecting Xia Yu from the aftermath of Barrett's attack, he would have been in trouble. This is just the aftermath. If someone wants to assassinate naval scientists in the future and there is no one to protect them, it will be a huge loss for the Navy. Zhang Guo still attaches great importance to Xia Yu's safety. You're also wrong, Uncle Sengoku. It wasn't me who ate the devil fruit. I specially researched this devil fruit and had the yellow flash eat it. Xia Yu explained slowly and calmly. Okay. Aikiji's mouth twitched for a while. It must be said that every time Xia Yu spoke, it was surprising. If a human eats a devil fruit, they will die. Yellow Flash, already blessed with the flash fruit, can it still possess the power of a devil fruit? Aokiji, with a look of surprise on his face, looked at the yellow flash in front of him and said in confusion, I've already told you that humans will die if they eat it. I'm a robot. It'll be fine if you eat it. Zhang Guo showed an expectant expression. In this case, wouldn't the yellow flash become even stronger? How come Xia Yu has so many wonderful ideas? Then tell us quickly about the specific abilities of this fruit. Zhang Guo looked curious. Xia Yu sat down on the chair in the marshal's office like a little adult and began to explain. This fruit is called the mirror fruit. Its ability allows users to freely travel through the mirror channels of the entire world, from one place to another. Also, people with special abilities can carry things across a certain space, whether they are people or objects. But the space is limited. If it were humans, the passage would only be able to accommodate 2 people at most. Xia Yu explained to everyone in a baby voice that the senior members of the Navy were like primary school students listening to a class, and they all listened very attentively. That's it. Doesn't that mean that the yellow flash will be able to reach almost any place where humans live if it wants to? After all, every human being has at least one mirror in their home. Zhang Guo exclaimed in surprise and said with a happy expression, Xia Yu as expected, every time he comes, he can bring them huge surprises. That's right, Uncle Zhang Guo, your understanding is perfect. Xia Yu praised Marshal Zhang Guo like a little adult. After hearing this, Zhang Guo forgot about the troubles in the Navy for a moment and became playful instead. Doctor. Xia Yu, look, this ability is so powerful. How about letting me try it? Zhang Guo licked his lips, his face full of anticipation. If this ability is used well, it can be a powerful weapon for surprise attacks in the future. This is definitely a great thing for the Navy anyway. Xia Yu has already completed the Universal Capsule, and the general level Seraphim is also being automatically cultivated. What Xia Yu lacks the most now is time. Of course you can, Uncle Zhang Guo. Xia Yu nodded in agreement. After hearing Xia Yu's words, Zhang Guo's eyes shone brightly and his face was full of anticipation. Sakaski and Aokiji on the side showed disappointed expressions. Page 69. Zhang Guo, this guy speaks too fast. We were just trying out this strange ability, but you got there first. The next moment, Xia Yu looked at the yellow flash number beside him. Just take Marshal Zhang Guo with you and show off your abilities. Afterwards, after receiving Xia Yu's order, the mirror on the desk in the marshal's office emitted white light again. Zhang Guo felt dizzy and then was sucked into the mirror. Seeing warring states and the yellow flash disappearing out of thin air, the 3 admirals were filled with emotion. As expected of you, Doctor. Xia Yu. Sometimes, I have to wonder, your brain is simply God's brain. You can actually create this kind of strange fruit. It's simply a stroke of genius located in the mirror world, feeling the dazzling mirrors in all directions in the passage. Zhang Guo was surprised. Is this the mirror world that Dr. Xia Yu mentioned? It is indeed wonderful. However, with so many mirrors, which one should I choose? Zhang Guo thought for a while. Afterwards, Zhang Guo silently closed his eyes and recalled the scenes of his hometown when he was young. Then suddenly, all kinds of mirrors flashed and suddenly appeared in front of him. It turns out that this is how the mirror world is used. But I'm already at this age, and the people in my hometown have long since changed. I should go somewhere else afterwards. Zhang Guo once again thought about the scene in the underwater prison. Then, mirrors appeared in front of Zhang Guo, shining again. Inside the underwater prison, although it was a few days since Xia Yu left, However, discussions about Xia Yu became more frequent throughout the underwater prison. Tell me, how come that 8-year-old kid is so smart? He was able to create such a terrifying killing machine. Yeah, that kid's head is like the devil's head. I think it's possible that he was born with an interest in robots. His brain was designed to make robots. If that's the case, it's really hard to say who's the number one scientist between him and Vegapunk. After all, that guy Vegapunk has made great progress in many scientific and technological fields. He's a true scientist. Just as everyone was discussing, the monitor in the 6th-floor prison suddenly reflected a beam of light. Then, Guo and the yellow flash suddenly appeared out of thin air on the 6th floor of the underwater prison. Chapter 83. Magellan Crisis, who suddenly arrived at the 6th floor. Looking at the surrounding environment, Guo sighed again. This terrifying ability can even use surveillance cameras as mirrors. Not bad. The criminals who were discussing just now were suddenly startled when they felt the presence of the two people. What's the situation just now? The prison gate on the 6th floor was opened. Why didn't I hear any sound? Crocodile said with a look of surprise. Barrett and others were also surprised. No, they didn't come in from the gate of the underwater prison at all, even without any sound. My observation, Haki can still sense the arrival of the Navy. They seem to have appeared out of thin air. Barrett's eyes widened suddenly, and he said in shock. After hearing Barrett's words, the other criminals finally reacted one by one. It appeared out of thin air. Did the Navy obtain a new devil fruit? At the same time, Warden Magellan, who was patrolling on the 1st floor, suddenly heard the alarm of the entire prison. Magellan, who had looked calm just now, suddenly changed his expression and looked terrified. Surprisingly, unexpectedly, someone escaped from prison, and he reached the 6th floor directly from the 1st floor without anyone noticing. Who is he? Magellan widened his eyes and shouted in disbelief. Then, the anxious Magellan rushed to the 6th floor of the underwater prison. At the same time, the phone kept ringing. Hello, is that Hannibal? Hurry to the 6th floor and take everyone with you. I'm afraid someone is planning a prison break. Domino, little Sadie, this is an emergency. Quickly mobilize all your people to the 6th floor to prevent anyone from escaping. Afterwards, Magellan was still a little uneasy. After all, that's a criminal on the 6th floor. Which strength is not enough to suppress one side? If the prison breakers got the key, release all these criminals. Even if all the guarding forces of the underwater prison were dispatched, I'm afraid they would not be able to stop these most brutal criminals in history. I can't care about so many things. In order to avoid a disaster, I should report this matter to Marshal Guo as soon as possible. Afterwards, Magellan, feeling nervous, directly called Guo. Guo, who was on the 6th floor, saw that it was Magellan's call and happily answered it. Hey, Magellan, the prison is well managed. What's going on? Is the prison well managed? I'm about to be in big trouble. Magellan was in tears. Reporting to Marshal Guo, a big incident has occurred here. The criminals on the 6th floor of the undersea prison are trying to escape. At present, the alarm has been triggered. Magellan said with a serious and nervous look. What? Guo touched his head and understood instantly. It turned out that his sudden appearance without reporting to Magellan actually triggered the prison alarm directly. Ha ha ha. I'm sorry, Magellan. I didn't notify you of my sudden visit. I triggered the alarm of this underwater prison. It's okay now. Just turn it off. Sengoku smiled awkwardly. After hearing what Guo said, Magellan was completely bewildered. What? The Warring States Marshal actually came to the underwater prison? How come I didn't know about this? But Marshal Guo, how did you get there? Without my permission. Even you can't go to the 6th floor without anyone noticing, Magellan said doubtfully. As the warden of a large prison, naturally, anyone who wants to visit a prisoner must obtain his permission. Even the Admiral of the Navy is no exception. So Magellan was very confused that Guo could reach the 6th floor without informing him. After hearing Magellan's words, Guo showed a smug look on his face. Ha ha ha. Surprised, isn't it, Magellan? This is the Yellow Flash's new ability. As long as there is a mirror or reflective material, it can move freely in space. I came here this time specifically to test the new capabilities of the Yellow Flash, Jan Guo said with a smile. After hearing what Jan Guo said, Magellan finally understood everything. The Yellow Flash, which is already so perverted, has actually gained such terrifying spatial abilities. This shocked Magellan. I understand, Marshal Sengoku. Afterwards, Magellan hung up the phone and couldn't help but sigh again. If Dr. Xia Yu, this terrifying genius, belongs to the pirate camp, I'm afraid all the criminals in this underwater prison, even if they're on the 6th floor, Xia Yu can take them away. The power of this technology is so terrifying. Afterwards, Magellan informed the entire prison about the Yellow Flash, and the crisis was resolved. After hearing the news about Magellan, the entire prison staff was completely immersed in a heated discussion. What? To that terrifying killing machine, they added such a terrifying spatial ability. This robot is really ridiculous, Hannibal said in disbelief, his eyes popping out of his head in shock. An Admiral-level Seraphim possesses the ability of space. I guess the Navy will be in trouble, hee hee. Domino moved her red lips slightly and said with a smile, spatial ability is the most difficult ability to acquire. And now Yellow Flash actually possesses it. Such a robot is so perfect. Little Sadie opened her red lips wide with an exaggerated expression on her face. Page 70. The jailers of the entire underwater prison also had a heated discussion about Xia Yu. Dr. Xia Yu, based on the original foundation, has developed spatial abilities for the Admiral-level Seraphim. Oh my god, did I hear that correctly? Being able to teleport to any mirror in the world at will. What a ridiculous ability. I even thought I'd misheard at first, but these are the exact words of Magellan, the warden. In that case, wouldn't the Yellow Flash be able to pass through basically any place where there are humans? This ability is too abnormal. I really don't know, Dr. Xia Yu, what's wrong with your brain? How can you have so many fantastic ideas? Xia Yu's popularity in the Navy has skyrocketed again. Chapter 84. Akenu crosses the haunted island. At this time, Jan Guo, who was in the underwater prison, looked at the criminals in the prison and laughed. Ha ha ha. Before, you couldn't sense my presence with your observation hacky. That's normal. I appeared from this mirror after the test. I retreated after saying this. Jan Guo disappeared from everyone's sight again in front of the criminals in the underwater prison. Although they were well prepared. However, after seeing Jan Guo disappear from their sight like that, they couldn't help but feel shocked. Jan Guo, this guy, what he said is actually true. Crocodile suddenly widened his eyes and said in shock. It's okay if it's just a simple spatial ability, but the most terrifying thing is that this Yellow Flash clearly possesses the flash ability of Admiral Kizaru. Beryl opened his mouth and said in disbelief. It must be that kid Xia Yu who did it again. Barrett clenched his fists. His curiosity about Xia Yu surged again. Even the Red Earl, it is actually possible to install another Devil Fruit ability on a robot, which also means that the technology for robots with multiple Devil Fruit abilities is already fully available. This is a very scary technology. Many Devil Fruits have combined abilities that can achieve an effect where the sum of one is greater than the other. Just imagine the defense of the Azure Dragon form, the attack of the Tremor Fruit, and the natural element of the Thunder Fruit. I'm afraid that even I, the Red Earl, will find it difficult to defeat such an enemy. Is this Xia Yu's technology? This is simply ridiculous. I'm afraid that pirates nowadays must be having a hard time. The Red Earl narrowed his eyes slightly and smiled bitterly. Inside the Admiral's office, the 3 admirals and others were anxiously awaiting the results of the Warring States test. After all, this ability sounds a bit too bizarre and too ridiculous, or it is installed on the robot's body. It might fail. Suddenly, the mirror in front of them flashed with white light, and Warring States and Yellow Flash appeared in front of them in an instant. How is it, Marshal Sengoku? Did you succeed? Aokiji said with anticipation. Jan Guo burst into laughter. Ha ha ha, Wonderful, it's really wonderful. Just now, I was imagining the image of the underwater prison in my mind and was directly brought to the underwater prison by the mirror inside. For this reason, the alarm of the underwater prison was triggered, haha. Jan Guo said with satisfaction in his face with a smile. Jan Guo was very pleased with such an incredible ability. Although I can only lead one person. However, the yellow flash is inherently formidable. If it were to bring along an admiral, it could even assassinate the 4 emperors. Although it's a bit of luck, not only that, but this ability can be used all the time. I'm going to assassinate the 4 emperors every day and harass you to death, right? The 3 generals around him, after hearing Jan Guo's answer, all showed a look of surprise on their faces. It really was a success. So, Akenu also asked Xia Yu for help. Doctor, Xia Yu, can I use the yellow flash's ability? Akenu said excitedly. After all, everyone wants to try out such a perverted spatial ability. Of course you can, Uncle Akenu. After getting Xia Yu's answer, Akenu's mouth was almost grinning to the sky. The impatient Akenu walked directly into the mirror world without any hesitation. Walking in the mirror passage, Akenu began to mutter to himself, where should we go? Correct. Didn't that bastard Kaido rely on his natural advantages to build a laboratory to develop Seraph? How could I, Sakazuki, do what you want? When they were young, Akenu had a conflict with Kaido in Wano country, so the two of them still have some conflicts in that case. Mirror world, can you take me to Kaido? Akenu murmured as he recalled the scene of himself on Onigashima. The next moment, rays of light appeared, and then Akenu quickly appeared on Kaido's Onigashima. Kaido's territory is quite large, but I don't know where this laboratory is, but it doesn't matter today. Let's destroy some infrastructure first. Sakazuki said with a smile, the corners of his mouth slightly raised. Anyway, now that the Navy has the yellow flash, going anywhere is just a thought away as long as Dr. Xia Yu agrees. The worst that can happen is we can come back later. A steady stream of income, that's what makes it interesting. So, without the slightest hesitation, Sakazuki, no matter what building he saw, would directly hit the meteor volcano, and a large amount of magma meteorites would fly into the sky. In an instant, the entire sky was illuminated by the lava meteor. A flash of red rumble, huge magma meteorites fell one by one on the ground, instantly causing a burst of explosions. The nearby buildings were directly melted by the magma, and the entire land was filled with flames. The pirates of the Beast's pirates were standing guard when they were suddenly attacked, and they let out screams one after another. Someone's making a sneak attack. Someone's making a sneak attack. Look. Isn't that the Admiral of the Navy, Sakazuki? Wano country is protected by natural barriers, and Onigashima is also subject to numerous checkpoints. How on earth did he get here? Go stop Sakazuki and continue the destruction. The pirates roared loudly, and the whole scene was in chaos. A large number of pirates heard the noise here and ran over one after another. Looking at his masterpiece, Sakazuki's mouth was almost grinning to the sky. Ha ha ha. It's so refreshing. Today is really refreshing. I never thought that this little robot could be so powerful. It took us less than a second to get to Onigashima, Akenu said with a smile, squinting his eyes while holding the cigar. Chapter 85. I'll leave after the fight. Kaido is a mo, that's him. Sakazuki, kill him. Just when Akenu was excited, groups of pirates from the Beast's pirates came rushing over. Looking at these ignorant pirate minions, Sakazuki showed a disdainful smile at the corner of his mouth. You're just a bunch of trash, go to hell. The next moment, a huge magma fist was summoned by Sakazuki, and then it blasted towards the minions of the Beast's pirates. Boom! The huge magma fist exploded directly in the center of the pirates. The pirates who were clamoring before were instantly swallowed up by Akenu's magma flames, and they screamed like ghosts. At this time inside Onigashima, Kaido was drinking heavily, his face already showing signs of drunkenness. Damn it, I just asked you to get some Seraph fragments. Is it that difficult? You are nothing but a bunch of good-for-nothings. In the huge house on Onigashima, Kaido scolded the 6 flying 6 in front of him. At this time, there were bursts of huge explosions coming from outside. Rumble. Page 71. Even the entire Ghost Island was shaken. Okay. Kaido was completely confused. This was his territory, so why did the explosion suddenly happen? Could it be that the newly built laboratory exploded? So Kaido hurriedly took the 6 flying companions and walked out. As soon as I went out, I saw Sakazuki wreaking havoc. Kaido saw that the building he had worked so hard to build near Onigashima was destroyed by Akenu. The expression on Kaido's face was extremely ferocious. Asshole. What the hell is going on? Why, Sakazuki, did you suddenly appear on my ghost island? From the entrance to Wano country to my Onigashima, are all the checkpoints you set up just for show? Kaido's mouth twitched, and he cursed the flying 6 in front of him again. The 6 Lincoln warriors were also completely confused. It shouldn't be they had deployed so many patrols, so how could Akenu get here without anyone noticing? The next moment, the angry Kaido turned into a huge blue dragon and rushed towards Akenu. Akenu, you bastard, you dare to come to my ghost island alone with this robot? I didn't take revenge last time, but this time I'll make sure you have nothing to lose. Kaido was furious. Then, the huge blue dragon exhaled a burst of hot breath towards Akenu. Akenu was not idle either. He threw a huge dog-biting red lotus towards Kaido's hot breath. 2 terrifying forces exploded violently in the sky, and waves of heat came instantly. At this time, Jin, who was patrolling in the sky, also discovered the abnormality of Onigashima and rushed over with a dive. The huge wings spread out, and flames instantly attacked the yellow flash. The yellow flash immediately counterattacked, with beams of light colliding in the air. After seeing this scene, the 6 Flying 6 activated their Devil Fruit abilities one after another, and the huge dinosaurs rushed towards Akenu and the others. There were also countless armies of gift givers, all of whom released their own special attacks on Akenu. Yes, that's it, Akenu, you will die here. As for the robot next to you, ha 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 ha, I will transform it into my killing machine. Kaido raised the corners of his mouth slightly, revealing a ferocious smile. Facing the fierce counterattack of the beast's pirates, Sakazuki was not panicked at all. This time, he had destroyed quite a few buildings and killed more than 1,000 pirates. It was already a huge profit. There is absolutely no need to fight any further. Buried here? I'm afraid I can't do what you want, Kaido, Akenu said with a grin. Then, he looked at the yellow flash number on the side. Let's go, yellow flash, Akenu said with a smile. Seeing this scene, Kaido in the sky burst into laughter. Ha ha ha. This is my territory. You don't think that a mere flash fruit can break through my encirclement, do you? It's so funny. If you can get out of this situation, I, Kaido, will be the stupidest idiot in the world, Kaido said with a smug look on his face. However, the next moment a strange scene appeared. The last gift for you, Hades, Akenu said with a smile. Before Akenu left, he released his last attack and suddenly disappeared from the spot. The huge Hades dog directly hit the roof of Kaido's huge haunted house, and the roof of the huge haunted house collapsed on the spot the beast's pirates attack, however, hit the air. Kaido was completely stunned when he saw Akenu suddenly disappear in front of him. What's going on? Where are the people? Kaido widened his eyes and said in disbelief. Just when the attack was about to hit Sakazuki and Yellow Flash, they disappeared mysteriously. Kaido's face was completely bewildered. He just left and disappeared out of thin air. I just said that if Akenu could get out, I would be the stupidest idiot in the world. This makes me lose face. Asshole. You just destroyed my territory and left like that. What do you think of my beast's pirates? Hurry up and find where Akenu is. Kaido roared at his men. Lightning bolts, driven by Kaido's rage, struck the ground from time to time. Kaido, who was furious, tightly gripped the mace in his hand, gnashing his teeth. Jaehin and the 6 Sky Warriors also had the same confused look on their faces. What the hell is going on? Peggy Wan was completely confused. You were clearly standing there just now, and then you disappeared out of thin air. Even your observation hacky didn't notice it. Sasaki had a strange look on his face. This is simply hell. Chapter 86 New Invention Universal Capsule. Go find it. It must be nearby, said Phosphor angrily. However, the members of the Beast's pirates dug deep into the ground on Onigashima but could not find Akenu. Report to Lord Kaido. I'm afraid that the Seraph has installed some kind of spatial power Akenu and that Seraph are probably no longer in Wano country, the intelligence soldier said nervously. After hearing the report from his subordinates, Kaido finally couldn't help it. Bastard Navy, you've gone too far. I'm not done with you. The huge mace, accompanied by bursts of lightning, struck the huge building in front of it. Thunder gossip. Boom! In an instant, the huge buildings were reduced to ruins. Pass my orders, Quinn, Caesar, have them hurry up and research. Sooner or later, I will create a Seraph to avenge my grievances. In the Admiral's office at the Marine headquarters, Akenu soon appeared from the mirror. Ha ha ha. You don't know, it's so cool, so cool, Akenu said excitedly. Akenu, where have you been? Why did it take so long? Kizaru asked with his eyes narrowed. Ha ha ha. Just now, I went to Kaido's place. Just smash all the buildings on Kaido's Onigashima Island. I don't know if you hit the laboratory. However, even if it didn't hit the lab, we still made a lot of money this time. You guys don't know, after I destroyed everything, I left right away, and Kaido's furious expression was just too good to look at. Haha. Akenu kept talking excitedly. After hearing Akenu's words, a glimmer of light flashed in Aokiji's eyes. Doctor. Xia Yu, I also want to apply to use the yellow flash number and go to visit the aunt, Aokiji said with a smile. That's naturally no problem. Anyway, I have plenty of time now, so let these people have a good time. 10 minutes later, Aokiji and Yellow Flash also walked out of the mirror. Jan Guo's face was full of excitement. How's the battle going on your side, Aokiji? Aokiji waved his hand, his face full of excitement. I found the laboratory where Seraphim was developed at Big Mom's place. Oh, just a little bit. If it weren't for the large number of support from the Big Mom Pirates leaders, I would have succeeded. Aokiji looked annoyed. Oh. Jan Guo narrowed his eyes slightly. That's not a big deal, Aokiji. Anyway, we have the yellow flash. If one time doesn't work, try twice. If 2 times don't work, try 3 times. The initiative is in our hands. Sooner or later, we will succeed, Jan Guo said comfortingly. That being said, but after this surprise attack, I guess Big Mom and Kaido will definitely be more vigilant. Page 72. If there are more people, we can destroy their laboratory by force. If there are fewer people, I'm afraid it's impossible to destroy their laboratory in front of so many people, Kizaru analyzed with narrowed eyes. Just when everyone was at a loss, Xia Yu spoke again. I can solve this problem, Xia Yu said in a baby voice. Okay. Xia Yu, brother Xia Yu, if you have any good ideas, please tell us quickly. Kizaru spoke quickly. Other high-ranking naval officers also looked at Xia Yu with anticipation. Xia Yu has never let him down. That's right, brother, I have a new invention, Xia Yu said proudly. Another new invention? Jan Guo did not hide his joy. You know, every invention of Xia Yu brings about a qualitative improvement in the Navy's combat effectiveness. I don't know what kind of brilliant ideas Xia Yu will come up with this time. Under the expectant gazes of the crowd, Xia Yu directly took out 10 small capsules from his pocket. Ah, is this your invention, brother? What's the use of this little thing? It looks like a capsule. Could it be some special medicine for healing wounds? Kizaru narrowed his eyes slightly, looking confused. If that's the case, this invention doesn't seem that great. Yes, doctor. Xia Yu, what are the specific functions of these capsules? Jan Guo also asked. After hearing what Kizaru and others said, Xia Yu once again began to explain to the senior Navy officials like a little adult. It's called the Universal Capsule, but it's not for treating rather. It serves as a space storage. Whether it's a person or some kind of cargo, this small capsule can hold anything. Xia Yu said in a baby voice. Okay. After hearing what everyone said, Zhang Guo and the three generals were all stunned. Brother, are you sure this is true? This thing contains the power of space. If it's the ability of a devil fruit, it's understandable. But you actually used technology to develop this thing? Kizaru sighed. Sakaski was even more excited. That would be great. If we have this thing and put our Navy's army into this small capsule, wouldn't we be able to use the magic mirror's power to travel through time directly? Sakaski's eyes flashed with light. Yes, Xia Yu, this is a good thing. Can you show it to us? Zhang Guo swallowed his saliva, his face full of anticipation of course. Xia Yu nodded slightly. Then, he picked up the smallest universal capsule and pointed it at Zhang Guo's desk. Absorb. As Xia Yu finished speaking, the desk in front of Zhang Guo really disappeared from everyone's sight. Chapter 87, Demonstrate the universal capsule and install the warship O. The people around were all shocked. Amazing, it's really amazing. This little thing looks very ordinary. I didn't expect it to have a storage function. It's also easy to operate and very convenient. Kizaru touched his yellow sunglasses and moved closer to the universal capsule, looking surprised. Aokiji was even more surprised. Before, when Xia Yu wanted to take back the Warring States table, Aokiji had been using his observation haki result when the table disappeared. The observation haki I released also captured the interruption. Seeing, hearing, and color are all undetectable. There really is the power of space hidden in here, Aokiji said with surprise. This spatial force is the most difficult to obtain among all the technologies. Unexpectedly, Xia Yu had researched it secretly. Sakaski looked at the little thing in front of him, took a puff of his cigar, and his eyes flickered. Ha ha ha. Xia Yu, you're amazing. With this kind of technological product, combined with your yellow flash, it will be much easier to destroy Kaido and Big Mom's laboratories. Sakaski said excitedly. Unexpectedly, Zhang Guo showed a worried look. This won't be a surprise, right? There are still important documents in my desk drawer, Zhang Guo said anxiously, wiping the sweat from his forehead. You know, when Xia Yu was doing the experiment just now, he took away his desk as soon as he finished speaking. I didn't even have time to stop it. The documents in there are very important. After hearing Zhang Guo's words, Xia Yu smiled. Don't worry, Uncle Zhang Guo, are you still not confident in my skills? Then, under the gaze of everyone, Xia Yu picked up the universal capsule again. Come out. Xia Yu gave an order, and then the marshal's desk in the universal capsule returned to its original position. It really appeared, Zhang Guo exclaimed. Not bad. By the way, Xia Yu, you just said that this universal capsule can hold humans and cargo, but I don't know what the specific upper limit of the space is, Zhang Guo said with a curious look on his face. As a naval marshal, Zhang Guo understands very well the importance of this little thing. If only artillery, or even warships, could be packed into this tiny capsule, it can be used to launch surprise attacks on enemies, and it's so cool. The three generals and others also showed curious looks. Yeah, brother, this little thing is so small, I'm afraid that being able to fit into a table is already the limit, right? Huang Yuan's yellow sunglasses flashed, staring at the universal capsule in Xia Yu's hand, squinting his eyes and said, Aokiji and Akenu didn't hold out much hope either. After all, the fact that something like this could contain the power of space was already surprising enough for them. I really don't dare to hope any more after hearing what everyone said. Xia Yu patted her small chest. Don't worry, there are two types of these universal capsules. The small type can hold artillery and navy personnel of less than 100 people. As for the large one, it can accommodate huge objects like naval warships, Xia Yu said confidently. After hearing Xia Yu's reply, the three generals' eyes were filled with deep shock. A warship, such a huge thing, could actually be put into such a small capsule. Even imagining it was hard for them to imagine it for a moment. This kind of thing is too mysterious for them. How can such a huge space be contained in this tiny thing? Aokiji opened his mouth wide with an exaggerated expression. Brother, are you sure what you said is true? Kizaru swallowed his saliva and said in shock. I really can't understand it. We are born of the same parents, but why is there such a huge gap in intelligence between me and Xia Yu? Yeah, Xia Yu, this black technology is simply too amazing, right? You know, just developing the power of space is difficult enough. How could you develop something so terrifying? Zhang Guo said with a look of shock on his face. Of course. Xia Yu still looked calm. After receiving Xia Yu's affirmative answer, Zhang Guo could not hide the joy on his face at all. Come on, come on. In that case, Doctor Xia Yu, you should show us a good performance. This way, I can praise you in front of the 5 elders, and it will definitely be easier to apply for funding in the future. Zhang Guo said excitedly, rubbing his palms. Right. Let's take a closer look at how this magical universal capsule can actually hold that huge thing. Aikiji's eyes also revealed a bright light. He really couldn't believe that Xia Yu, an 8-year-old kid, had such a powerful head. Without any warning or word, they were brought such magical and powerful black technology. Such an interesting thing, I naturally need to go and see it. After hearing that such a small gadget could actually fit on a warship, Kizaru, the usually lazy guy, also showed great interest. Sakazuki was even more expectant. If this really succeeded, he would definitely immediately apply to Kaido like Sengoku and continue to provoke him. I just want to piss Kaido off to death. In this way, under the leadership of the senior naval officials, Xia Yu and others walked directly towards the coast entrance of the naval headquarters. The group of people, including the Marshal, the Admiral, and the most popular doctor, are all influential figures in the Navy. Such a lineup naturally attracted the surrounding soldiers to watch and speculate. This is Dr. Xia Yu. Dr. Xia Yu has always been in the Navy's science department. Now he's actually staying with Marshal Zhang Guo. What do you think, Dr. Xia Yu? Could it be that you have made some new inventions? Page 73. Don't mention it. This possibility is still very high. After all, even Marshal Zhang Guo and the 3 generals went there. Something big must have happened, and Dr. Xia Yu is also there. It's not difficult to guess that maybe it really is a new invention, people around said in discussion. After hearing about the new invention, these Marines' eyes sparkled with anticipation and their faces were full of curiosity. Let's go and take a look, and then we'll know. Look at this time, Dr. Xia Yu, has he made another major invention? Some Marines who had nothing to do also followed with great curiosity. At the same time, Garp and Vice Admiral Tsuru also noticed the abnormality of the entire Navy. After learning the news, they also headed towards the coastline. After a while, I saw the figures of Zhang Guo and other Zhang Guo. What are you doing? After catching up with Sengoku, Garp asked curiously. Ha ha ha. Garp, you came at the perfect time. Chapter 88, Garp, Warship Disappearance Technique. Dr. Xia Yu, there's a new invention recently. This tiny thing can hold humans and all kinds of items. Zhang Guo said proudly while holding the universal capsule in his hand. Looking at the small capsule in Sengoku's hand, Garp was surprised. It's just this little thing, but it's not even as big as the senbei I eat. It's not a devil fruit ability. Are you sure that technology can possess the power of space? Garp said with a laugh as he ate the senbei in big mouthfuls. After hearing what Zhang Guo said, Lieutenant General He was also confused. Lieutenant General He is naturally proud of Xia Yu's strength. However, this also depends on the specific technology. Of all the technologies, the power of space and time is the most difficult to achieve. This technology is even more difficult than Seraph. Even Vegapunk hasn't even touched the edge of space technology. Is Xia Yu, an 8-year-old kid, so terrifying? How could this be false? We all saw it with our own eyes. This small universal capsule directly absorbed my marshal's desk and then spit it out again. Zhang Guo's face was full of excitement. The 3 generals also echoed and said that they had seen it with their own eyes. Yes, this is what my younger brother Xia Yu said. Any kind of fantastic ideas can be realized. Kizaru looked proud. That's right. To be honest, I did believe it at first. But that's what really happened. This is how powerful Dr. Xia Yu is. Aikiji's eyes were full of envy. Zhang Guo looked very pleased with himself as he continued to speak. Besides, Dr. Xia Yu said that this little thing can even fit on a warship. We are preparing to test it together, Zhang Guo said excitedly with a slight smile on his face. Is there such a thing? Even Vice Admiral He showed a shocked expression. I originally thought that Xia Yu might be a bit biased in science and technology, and was born with his own unique insights into making robots. Looking at it now, this kid Xia Yu is really surprising. Not only does he have almost invincible technology in robots, he is also so terrifying in other fields. In that case, let's go and take a look together, Garp. Vice Admiral He's eyes flickered, and it was obvious that he was also extremely curious. In this way, the group finally arrived at the Navy's coastline. Looking around, huge warships are docked in an orderly manner near the coastline, like sea kings, covering the sky and the sun. These things are necessary for the Navy to sail on the sea. The cost of building each ship is very high. It is equipped with various types of artillery and other things. One of the largest warships had all the sailors inside cleared out by Zhang Guo. After these soldiers came down, they all had confused expressions on their faces. My God, the 3 marshals and the Navy's hero, Garp. What are these high-ranking Navy officials planning to do with this lineup? Wait, isn't that Dr. Xia Yu who's been very popular lately? Could it be some new invention? The soldiers who were ordered to disembark by the warring states were standing nearby, observing with great curiosity. Zhang Guo pointed to the largest warship on the coast. Dr. Xia Yu, I have already asked everyone inside to leave. I think we should give this warship a try, Zhang Guo said excitedly with his eyes moving slightly. Next, it's time to witness a miracle. Then, Xia Yu nodded and spoke in a baby voice. Okay, this warship, no problem. Xia Yu patted his chest and said with assurance. The sailors around them, seeing this scene, were also curious and started talking to each other. Could it be that the latest invention is related to warships? Yeah, what kind of experiment would you use a warship for? Look, Dr. Xia Yu, the capsule in your hand, isn't it a new invention? It's such a small capsule, and it doesn't look like anything special. Just as the surrounding Navy officers were in a state of confusion, Xia Yu picked up the capsule in his hand and aimed it at the huge warship. Take it back. A simple sentence was spoken, then the warship on the sea disappeared mysteriously. The soldiers around saw such a strange scene. Everyone was completely stunned where they were, their mouths opened into the shape of a European character. The expressions on everyone's faces were exaggerated to the extreme. What? Such a huge creature actually disappeared. Where did the warship go? If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't believe it. A warship with a draft of several hundred tons could just disappear in Dr. Xia Yu's hands, the sailors around said with shock in their eyes. After seeing such a scene, Zhang Guo was extremely excited. Ha ha ha. It really worked. It can even easily hold a huge naval warship with a draft of several hundred tons. This small capsule can probably hold almost anything except an island. This is truly a great invention, Xia Yu. Zhang Guo's joy was beyond words. Kizaru opened his mouth into the shape of a European letter. My brother, your invention is amazing. Your brain is simply amazing. Sakaski grinned. This way, Next time he parachuted into Kaido's territory, he wouldn't be alone. Bite Set can easily bring thousands of troops to launch a surprise attack on Kaido. Next time, I will make Kaido pay. When Carp saw the scene, his eyes popped out. Good boy, you really did it. This tiny thing can actually fit a naval warship. It's amazing. Garp stopped chewing the senbei in his mouth and said in shock. Lieutenant General, he looked at Xia Yu with a look of great relief. That way, we can save the Navy tens of billions of berries every year. After all, our Navy's branches are spread all over the ocean, and transportation alone costs a lot of manpower and resources every year. This invention is amazing, said Lieutenant General He with his eyes twinkling. After hearing Vice Admiral He's evaluation, Zhang Guo simply curled his lips. Xia Yu, such a significant invention isn't simply a matter of money. More importantly, it has strategic significance. Chapter 89 Universal Capsule, Times Profit. Zhang Guo said with a smug look on his face. After hearing what Sengoku said, he and Garp both looked over with curious expressions. Isn't this just a convenient thing that also has strategic significance? After seeing the puzzled expressions of Garp and others, Sengoku showed a proud look and began to explain directly to Garp and others. Ha ha ha. You may not know that before we came here, Xia Yu showed us a great invention. The yellow flash has the ability to travel to all parts of the world. However, the yellow flash is limited in the number of people it can carry. Therefore, the most important reason for inventing this universal capsule is that it can be used in conjunction with the yellow flash's mirror fruit. The surprise attack effect is maxed out. Zhang Guo said seriously with an excited look on his face. What? Exclamation mirror fruit. Page 74. Is it possible to artificially create such a terrifying space-based fruit? If this is combined with the universal capsule, wouldn't it be like leading an army and going wherever you want? Carp opened his mouth wide in shock. You can go wherever you want. This is really a powerful thing, Cap said in surprise. Lieutenant General he was even more shocked, his eyes flashing. See you, this 8-year-old guy always brings me unprecedented surprises every time. Originally, Seraph was already exciting enough. Now here comes such a great invention. In this case, it won't take long for our Navy to wipe out all the pirates in the ocean, right? Vice Admiral Seraph said excitedly. Zhang Guo had a proud look on his face. Now you finally understand the powerful use of this little thing. This is natural. By the way, Dr. Xia Yu, I'm looking for the price of this incredible all-purpose capsule. Zhang Guo suddenly remembered the most important thing and asked nervously with a look of anxiety on his face. After all this time, Xia Yu only brought a few dozen universal capsules, so the manufacturing cost must be quite high. If the cost is very high, it will be difficult to scale up and it will be difficult to have any significant strategic significance. After hearing Zhang Guo's question, the other senior naval officers also looked serious. Whether it can be mass-produced depends on the price of this thing. According to past experience, a Seraph costs billions of baileys, so the cost is not low. This time, if one capsule costs billions of baileys, their navy really can't afford it. Although this thing is convenient and can be used in conjunction with the yellow flash, for the navy, it is more cost-effective to improve their hard power and produce more Seraphs for the same price. After hearing Zhang Guo's words, Xia Yu also began to think. To be honest, these universal capsules of mine are originally low-level system technology used in conjunction with the magic mirror fruit, and the cost is not high. A small universal capsule that can hold artillery and can support dozens of people can be purchased for only 10,000 berries, while a large universal capsule that can hold a warship can cost only 100,000 berries. In this case, even if the Navy purchases more, there is almost no funding without funds. It would not be a good thing for the subsequent unlocking of one's own system. Or be a little more greedy. Xia Yu, a glint of light flashed in his eyes. Have your own pricing in mind. This thing is really too cheap. I must increase the profit. They have to buy it anyway, just 100 times the profit. So Xia Yu, with a smile on his face, gave everyone a quote in a baby voice. For the small ones, it's 1 million berries each, and for the big ones, it's 10 million berries each. Okay. After hearing Xia Yu's answer, the senior naval officials such as Zhang Guo were stunned and stood still. The corners of Xia Yu's mouth twitched slightly. The offer is too high? Am I a little greedy? Ha ha ha. It's so cheap. Zhang Guo's excited voice came. Such a magical thing, but it costs less than 100 million Baileys. This is simply a huge profit. Cap was also excited. Lieutenant General he even showed a relieved expression. With these things, the shipping costs saved for the Navy alone each year would be tens of billions of berries. Zhang Guo, you have to make more. Lieutenant General he said with excited eyes. After hearing what Vice Admiral he said, Zhang Guo nodded happily. Yes, Doctor. See you. Just go ahead and make it with confidence. Funding is not a problem. Zhang Guo didn't even report to the 5 elders first. He just patted his chest and spoke confidently. Even if there are 100 large universal capsules that can carry 100 warships, it will only cost billion Baileys. Isn't this too cheap? Mass production is a must. Just put all your effort into producing thousands of them first. Zhang Guo said with excitement. Lieutenant General he also looked relieved. With such a convenient invention, coupled with the yellow flash's mirror fruit, from now on, the Navy can go wherever they want. This is undoubtedly of enormous strategic significance to the Navy. Those 4 emperors are going to be in trouble. Vice Admiral Tsuru said with relief. Xia Yu finally breathed a sigh of relief. Wow, your Navy is really rich. In this way, it would be no problem for me to make a net profit of tens of billions of Palais. Okay, don't worry, leave this matter to me. Xia Yu patted his chest and said. Suddenly, Kasasti took a step forward. Doctor. Xia Yu, look, can I use the yellow flash again, and the universal capsule? Last time, I fought Kaido, but I didn't get enough. Now that I have the universal capsule, I will definitely not let Kaido go so easily, Sakaski said with a ferocious look on his face. Last time, Kaido was so powerful, so I only destroyed a small part of the place and left in a hurry now, with Dr. Xia Yu's universal capsule. Akenu naturally has no intention of letting Kaido go. Chapter 90, Attacking Wano Country, scoring a second score. Of course you can. It's just right. I'll go to Kaido's place too, take a look around and give Kaido a big surprise. Xia Yu nodded and said jokingly. After seeing Xia Yu agree, the other people also showed excited expressions. In that case, send us over too. We have nothing to do now anyway, so why not teach Kaido a good lesson? Garp said excitedly. The 3 generals and others also expressed their inner thoughts. Hey, Garp, don't mess around. If we go over there, our first priority is to protect Xia Yu. Kaido doesn't need to hit me for now, but Xia Yu must be protected by me. Zhang Guo looked worried. Today, Xia Yu is the foundation of the Navy's strength. Zhang Guo looked at Xia Yu as if he were a precious treasure. So naturally, he would not let Xia Yu take even the slightest risk. Ah, that's so boring, Garp complained as he ate his senbei in big mouthfuls. However, although Garp speaks carelessly, he can still distinguish between what is important and what is not. Don't worry, leave it to me, Cap said, patting his chest after complaining. Then you guys should go quickly and come back soon. If I go again, I'm afraid all the high-ranking naval officers will be gone. If something unexpected happens to the naval headquarters, it will be a big trouble. Vice Admiral Tsuru directly chose to stay at the naval headquarters. It is good. After assigning the characters, Zhang Guo was also very excited. He directly called over the Navy officers who were watching from a distance, whispering and speculating among themselves. I need 1,000 artillerymen now. Bring your artillery and report directly. We are going to Wano Country to deal with Kaido. Sengoku raised the corners of his mouth slightly, revealing a smug expression. The gunners gathered in front of the warring states, but the sailors looked confused. What? Go to Wano country? There are natural barriers there, and it's a blessing that humans can enter. How is it possible to pull heavy artillery over there? Pulling heavy artillery to Wano country in a dangerous place is tantamount to seeking death, but Marshal Sengoku, Kaido's headquarters is in Wano country. It's protected by natural barriers. I'm afraid it won't be easy for us to get there, right? The artilleryman said in confusion. Don't worry, we have Dr. Xia Yu's great invention, the universal capsule. Going to Wano country is as easy as pie. Page 75. Great invention? As expected, Dr. Xia Yu has a new invention. Just now, they were far away from Xia Yu and couldn't hear clearly the conversation between Jan Guo and others. They all guessed that Xia Yu had a new invention. Unexpectedly, they guessed right. The Navy's eyes were filled with excitement. The next moment, Xia Yu, holding the capsule, aimed at the sea out. As soon as the words fell, the huge battleship in the universal capsule was summoned out of thin air again. The huge warship fell into the sea, and the entire sea shook. Isn't this the Navy ship that Dr. Xia Yu absorbed earlier? I didn't see it clearly just now, and I really couldn't imagine that it was this little capsule that was actually working. A tiny capsule can actually hold such a terrifying giant warship. Dr. Xia Yu is worthy of his name. Of course, Dr. Xia Yu is the greatest scientist in this world. The technology he controls is 1,000 years ahead of the rest of the world. The Navy officers, upon seeing such a shocking scene, cried out in amazement. They felt even more admiration for Xia Yu. Follow my command, everyone, lead your artillery and board the ship. At Jan Guo's command, all the Navy officers boarded the ship. The next moment, Xia Yu picked up his universal capsule and aimed it at the huge battleship. Receive. The huge warship in front of it, along with the Navy, was directly put into the small capsule. Let's go, Yellow Flash. Just treat it as a trip, Xia Yu said with a smile. Speaking of which, since I traveled to this world, I have been staying in the Navy headquarters most of the time and have hardly been to other places. This time I can enjoy the beautiful scenery in Wano country. Then a mirror flashed, and Xia Yu, carrying the capsule and the yellow flash, disappeared from the spot in Wano country. Kaido is holding a meeting in the open space of Onigashima. Damn Akenu, you're really going too far. So how did Akenu disappear? Everyone, tell us what you think. Kaido, sitting on the throne, said angrily. After hearing Kaido's words, Jin narrowed his eyes tightly. Boss Kaido, do you think it could be that new ability that looks like Kizaru's Seraph? Jin looked worried. If this is the case, it means that the Seraph has been strengthened again. This is not good news for the beast's pirates. This ability to come and go as you please is really too abnormal. It is completely invincible, and can harass your enemies all the time. It's so unreasonable. After hearing Jin's guess, Quinn frowned. Hey, you pervert who likes to torture prisoners, please stop talking here, okay? Do you understand technology? This is space technology, the most difficult technology in the technology level. Do you really think that an 8-year-old kid like Xia Yu can obtain this technology? Quinn said unconvinced. Just when the two of them were arguing, below him was Black Maria, with a helpless smile on her face. It was really boring at this moment, so Black Maria yawned and began to secretly look at her beautiful self in the mirror. Suddenly, her red lips grew into a European shape. Strange, why is there a huge warship in my mirror? Black Maria was completely bewildered, and for a moment she thought she was hallucinating. The next moment, a white light flashed, and a huge warship suddenly fell from the sky and smashed heavily towards Ghost Island. Strange. A warship? How is it possible to appear on land? Black Maria asked in confusion. The minions of the beast's pirates on Onigashima looked at the huge warship in the sky with a look of horror on their faces. Look up in the sky, what the hell is that? A warship, a Navy warship. Run, you'll be crushed to death. Chapter 91 Kaido. Whoever captures Xia Yu captures the world. Capture Xia Yu. However, the next moment, before Black Maria could react, the huge warship had already crashed heavily to the ground. Rumble exclamation accompanied by a loud noise. Hundreds of pirates from the Beast's pirates were directly pressed into the ground by the huge warship and turned into pools of meat paste. After seeing this scene, Kaido stood up directly from the throne. How did a Navy ship suddenly appear from the sky and land on my territory? Kaido, who was already in a bad mood, became even more angry. At this time, Xia Yu and the Yellow Flash appeared first on the warship. Sitting at the front of the warship, Xia Yu looked out at the entire Onigashima island. Is this Onigashima in Wano country? Don't mention it. This place looks much more gloomy compared to the anime. Xia Yu looked around and muttered to himself. After seeing such a familiar figure, Kaido's eyes suddenly widened. That's the Navy's scientist, Xia Yu, Kaido exclaimed. After hearing Kaido's words, the pirates of the Beast's pirates all looked over. When they saw Xia Yu, who was really an 8-year-old kid as the legend said, they couldn't help but discuss him. Is this the kid? He looks just like any other kid, right? This kid is the one who created the terrifying Seraph. It's unbelievable. At such a young age, he's already become the greatest scientist in the world, possessing technology that's 1,000 years ahead of the world. What the hell is wrong with this kid's brain? Looking at Xia Yu's young figure, the pirates of the Beast's pirates were all confused. Jin and Quinn also looked at Xia Yu with unfriendly expressions. After all, the drought was captured by the Seraphim created by this kid and sent to the underwater prison. So in a sense, Xia Yu is the enemy of their Beast's pirates. After seeing Xia Yu, Kaido's face was filled with joy. Ha ha ha. God helps me. God helps me. Although, I don't know why it was you, Xia Yu, who came this time instead of that bastard Sakazuki. But, since you're here, don't leave Xia Yu. Listen to my orders. No matter what, you must capture Xia Yu alive. With him, my Beast's pirates will definitely become the true overlord of this ocean. Kaido licked his tongue, his face full of excitement. After hearing Kaido's words, the pirates of the Beast's pirates once again showed surprised expressions. With Xia Yu, we can actually become the overlord of the sea. Doesn't that mean surpassing the Navy? If this is the case, the Beast's pirates will become an even more terrifying existence than the One Piece. The rumors are actually true. Whoever gets Xia Yu will get the world. Hoo hoo. Every member of the Beast's pirates was extremely excited. They roared and rushed towards Xia Yu with their weapons in hand. Jin was also shocked after hearing Kaido's order. Yeah, if Boss Kaido hadn't reminded me just now, I might have killed Xia Yu. With Xia Yu, the good days of the Beast's pirates are coming. Jin, who had the form of a pterosaur, immediately transformed into a pterosaur and, relying on his flying ability, was the first to arrive near Xia Yu. The pterosaur grabbed Xia Yu hard. After seeing Jaehin's attack, Quinn, who was lying on the ground, showed an unwilling expression on his fat face. Damn it, this fat sheep that was delivered to us is about to be snatched away by this guy Jin. Kaido also showed a happy expression. Ha ha ha. Well done, Jin. That's it, bring Xia Yu to me. Kaido looked excited. With Xia Yu, his own pirate group will have a huge number of Seraphim, which is 1,000 times more terrifying than the army of gifters. Page 76. By that time, his own pirate group will definitely be the only one in power, and naturally he won't need the cooperation of Big Mom. Kaido smiled and started planning his future journey to become the Pirate King. Just when everyone thought that Xia Yu was going to be caught, suddenly a loud shout was heard. Why don't you take a piss and look at yourself in the mirror? Even if Kaido comes, I will never let him take Xia Yu away. An old but powerful voice was heard, and a white-haired old man suddenly appeared. The pirates, who were charging forward bravely, suddenly stopped and looked shocked. Oh my god, I am not seeing things. Isn't this person Garp? Garp, the hero of the Navy. Garp, why is he here too? This is the terrifying existence that chased the former pirate king all over the world. Now, it's going to be hard to catch Xia Yu. Next moment Garp jumped up immediately. Within Jae-hin's field of vision, a huge fist came crashing down at him. The corners of Jin's mouth twitched. What's the situation? Garp, is he here too? I wanted to stop my dive, but Garp's fist was too fast, and I had no time to dodge. Helpless, Jinx quickly activated his armament color and his Lunaria family flame to improve his defense. Boom! In the blink of an eye, the huge fist smashed into the neck of Jae-hin, who had transformed into a pterosaur under the powerful force. Jin flew backwards from the sky. Finally, the whole person fell to the ground, creating a huge hole. Climbing out of the pit, Jin gritted his teeth in anger. Damn it, what the hell is going on? Even Garp from the Navy was teleported here. We were so close to catching Xia Yu, Jin said angrily. Just now, if I hadn't activated my family's special fire defense, I would have been crippled. Ha ha ha. Are you dreaming about capturing our doctor? Xia Yu? Garp said with a smile. Then, on the huge warship, Sengoku, Akenu, Aokiji, Kizaru and others appeared one after another. Chapter 92, Arrest Xia Yu First, Alive. The Navy's gunners also came to the deck of the warship, each of them showing an expression of extreme shock. This doctor. Xia Yu's new invention? It only took less than a second to bring us to Kaido's lair. This is like a dream, the gunners on the warship said in surprise. With Xia Yu's technology, they no longer have to travel so hard over mountains and hills, and can directly reach their destination and strike the enemy. For these artillerymen, this is simply the greatest invention in the world. This time, Kaido must be made to pay. The pirates of the Beast's pirates opened their mouths wide when they saw this scene, their faces filled with shock. Am I seeing things right? The 3 admirals and even the Grand Admiral have come in person? Are you planning to wipe out our Beast's pirates? Seeing such a scene, even Kaido was stunned. This kind of epic lineup is the first time I have seen it. How is it done? How could so many people be teleported at once? By the way, Jin is right, it must be Xia Yu's new technology. However, this kind of space technology, being able to teleport a person, is already difficult, so how on earth did Xia Yu do it? He actually teleported an entire Navy ship in an instant? Isn't this a bit too exaggerated? Kaido's mouth twitched as he thought silently. Without much words, the next moment, the 3 generals took action together. Ahaha, I won't talk about annihilating you for now, but I will definitely not let you have an easy time. Aokiji's eyes were cold, and the next moment, a huge chill instantly hit him. The thousands of pirates who were preparing to arrest Xia Yu were instantly struck by this chill. Feeling the terrifying chill, the pirates who had just looked arrogant and wanted to arrest Xia Yu now showed expressions of horror one by one. This is Admiral Aokiji's freezing ability. Run, or you'll be turned into ice, a famous pirate said in horror. However, the next moment, layers of frost formed on their bodies. Finally, in just a few seconds, they turned into ice sculptures frozen together with the huge ice block of hundreds of thousands of square meters formed by the frozen fruit. The chill is overwhelming. Kizaru was also not idle. He opened his mouth slightly, looking lazy. I don't know the exact location of the laboratory, but never mind. Yashikani no Madatama. The next moment, Kizaru turned into a flash of light and opened his arms. Countless flash bombs instantly shot out from his body and slammed heavily towards the buildings of Onigashima of the Beast's pirates. Bursts of yellow flashes appeared, and then a large number of buildings were directly blown to pieces by Kizaru's flash bombs, and finally turned into ruins. Sakazuki was not idle either. HMPH, Kaido, you didn't expect that. I, Sakazuki, am here again. This is our doctor. Xia Yu's new invention, ha. In order to prevent Dr. Xia Yu from wasting this opportunity that I have been given, I will do my best to destroy it. Go to hell, you rubbish pirates. Sakazuki narrowed his eyes tightly and sneered. The next moment, the meteor volcano was launched, and huge magma meteorites fell heavily from the sky again. It's Admiral Akinu's magma meteorite. Everyone, run, run, the sailors of the beast's pirates roared. However, the next moment, a huge meteorite hit them heavily. Rumble, rumble, exclamation accompanied by waves of tragic cries. A large number of pirates from the beast's pirates were swallowed by the magma, turning into firemen one by one. Amidst painful wails, they finally ended their sinful lives. The yellow flash was also not idle. Under Xia Yu's command, at an extremely high speed, from time to time, flying over the ghost island every time they passed through a place, a large number of yellow light bombs would be released, and a large number of buildings would be directly blown into ruins by the yellow flash. At the same time, hundreds of heavy artillery pieces launched indiscriminate attacks on the area within a radius of several hundred kilometers near Onigashima. The sky was densely packed with almost all naval shells. Rumble along with the explosion of artillery, a large number of pirates and buildings were directly destroyed. After hearing the sound from Onigashima, the garrison troops in other states also received calls from the intelligence soldiers immediately. What? A navy ship descended upon Sky Island out of nowhere. Are you sure this situation is correct? Got it. The army of Endours will be here soon. Got it. The barbarian tyrant army will be here soon. To think such a thing could happen. The general has already dispatched Kyoshiro to provide support. In Wano country, armies from all over the country headed towards Onigashima to support Kaido. Such a terrifying lineup is not just a small fight as in the past. This is a war. Located on the Ghost Island, although the entire battlefield instantly became one-sided due to the destruction of the three generals. However, as one of the four emperors, Kaido still has his own aura. Damn Navy, are you trying to wipe me out? Are you looking down on me, Kaido? Too much. Chapter 93. Don't be afraid, little ones. This is our home ground after all. They only have a few hundred people, and our entire Wano country's military strength is 100 times theirs. Everyone, charge. Arrest Xia Yu first. Kaido roared for a while, and then he turned into a huge blue dragon, covering the sky and the sun, and rushed towards Xia Yu. Chapter 93. Xia Yu, arrest me? Sorry, I have a universal capsule. Seeing the giant dragon covering the sky, Carp narrowed his eyes. I can't be careless. After all, Xia Yu is a flesh and blood body. Even the aftermath is likely to kill Xia Yu. So, Carp pushed the ground with both feet, and with a powerful force he jumped up like a cannonball. Janguo, keep an eye on Xia Yu, I'll stop Kaido. Garp roared. The next moment, the muscles on his entire right arm suddenly bulged, and the armed color was like a layer of armor covering the entire right fist. A powerful punch hit Kaido's dragon head hard. Boom! In an instant, Garp's iron fist had already hit Kaido's dragon head heavily. Under the powerful force, Kaido's entire dragon head felt dizzy. Kaido, tell me quickly, where is the laboratory you secretly built to develop Seraph? Tell me the truth and I can save your life. Garp roared loudly. After hearing Garp's words, Kaido was secretly shocked. Navy, these bastards. One has to admit, their intelligence capabilities are still very strong. It had only been 1 day since Big Mom and I built the laboratory, and the Navy knew the news. But it's okay. These Navy officers had no idea where he had hidden his laboratory. Otherwise, if his laboratory was destroyed, he would be crushed by the Navy for the rest of his life. Ha ha ha, if you have the guts, go find it yourself. Kaido roared angrily. Although Kaido's own combat power is indeed not as good as Garp's. However, with his strong defense, Kaido is confident that holding back Garp will not be a problem. In this way, his men would have a chance to succeed. After all, Xia Yu is just a little kid with almost zero combat power. Even if one of his own pirate minions comes in front of Xia Yu, he can kidnap Xia Yu the next moment. Kaido spit out a stream of hot breath towards Garp. Garp was not to be outdone, and in a split second he appeared on Kaido's dragon back facing the huge blue dragon. There was a burst of hammering two legendary figures. The two of them directly started fighting in the sky. Just as Garp and Kaido were fighting, there was another dragon roar in the sky. Zhang Guo's face changed drastically when he sensed something strange about Tianlong through his observation haki. Oh no. These damn guys are targeting Xia Yu. Xia Yu's number of protectors seems to be a little small. Zhang Guo showed a worried look. Above the sky, Jin transformed into a pterosaur, and his speed reached an extreme speed. A layer of armor-colored armor was wrapped around Jin's long sword, emitting a strange cold light. Oops. The only thing we can do is get rid of Jae-hin first. Otherwise, Xia Yu would be in danger now. The next moment, Zhang Guo directly activated his own abilities and turned into a giant Buddha. One after another, Buddha's shockwaves blasted towards the embers in the sky. Jin, who was in the sky, used his speed to dodge the attacks one after another. Then, he spread his wings, and flames burst out from his wings, blasting towards Zhang Guo. Not good. Zhang Guo secretly thought that something was wrong, and then his body suddenly swelled again. He directly opened his body and used his Buddha form to resist Jin's attack. Rumble one after another, fire bombs exploded in the chest of the Buddha. Fortunately, Zhang Guo finally resisted Jin's attack and breathed a sigh of relief. At this moment, Quinn's voice suddenly came. Ha ha ha. There's a flaw. Brachiosaurus bomb. No one expected that this attack method would directly become Quinn's displacement skill. Just when Zhang Guo and Jin were fighting, Quinn transformed into a giant Brachiosaurus. Then, he rushed onto the warship. It was only then that the warring states, who had transformed into a giant Buddha, discovered the existence of Quinn. Oh no, everyone come and protect Xia Yu. Zhang Guo was shocked. He had never thought that the previous attacks were just feints. Damn Kaido, he looks rough, but no one expected that Kaido is so meticulous. After hearing Zhang Guo's words, the three generals turned their heads and looked over, revealing extremely heavy expressions. Oh no. I had so much fun destroying things just now. You actually forgot about Dr. Xia Yu's safety. The three generals said with a look of shock. Xia Yu, needless to say, this is of great significance to their navy. This is a terrifying existence that can increase the combat effectiveness of their navy several times. The initial invention alone is enough to abolish the Seven Warlords system. If the navy loses this kind of scientific and technological talent, it will be an absolutely devastating blow to the navy. Kaido, who was in the sky, was mocking. Ha ha ha. It was fun fighting, wasn't it, Garp? You don't want Dr. Xia Yu anymore? If you don't want him, I, Kaido, don't mind taking Dr. Xia Yu away. High in the sky, Kaido, who was beaten black and blue, had a smug look on his face. Damn it. Damn Quinn. Garp wanted to turn around to protect Xia Yu, but was blocked by Kaido's huge Dryden body. I'm afraid it's too late to go back and protect your doctor. See you now, ha ha ha. Above the sky, Jin, who had transformed into a giant pterosaur, also showed a smug expression. Navy, you really are a bunch of idiots. How dare you send such an important person to our territory? Quinn, remember to stay alive. Doctor. Xia Yu, you are the hope for the future of our beasts pirates, said Jae-hin with a big laugh. After hearing Jin's words, Zhang Guo's eyes became extremely solemn. The thing I was most worried about finally happened. The beast's pirates will not kill Xia Yu, but will use him for their own purposes. Hateful. In this case, it is no exaggeration to say that in the future, the most powerful force in the entire ocean will probably be the beast's pirates. We had already sent so many people to protect Xia Yu, but we were careless in the end. Zhang Guo felt annoyed. If he had known earlier, no matter what he said, he would never have let Xia Yu come to such a dangerous place. And just when Zhang Guo and others were feeling annoyed, the corners of Xia Yu's mouth rose slightly. You must be Quinn, right? I have to say, the mechanical arm is quite well modified. However, based on what you said, I'm afraid it will still be very difficult to arrest me. Xia Yu said with a smile. Next moment, Xia Yu directly took out a universal capsule. Chapter 94, Quinn's New Harvest. What is this? Capsule? You think you can stop me with something like this? Who are you looking down on? Xia Yu, age 78. Quinn, feeling his intelligence was insulted, stretched out his arm and grabbed Xia Yu bump along with the appearance of the time capsule. There was a puff of smoke, and suddenly 10 figures appeared. These 10 little guys rushed towards Quinn, who looked like Xia Yu with his claws stretched out. Ta-ta-tau, the speed of each little guy is extremely fast. Doflamingo, who was helping Kaido fight on the battlefield, saw these little guys, and the expression on his face became exaggerated to the extreme. Lord Kaido, this is what I told you? Seraphim of the Shichibukai level. It was these little guys who destroyed my Smile Factory and arrested Drought Jack. Doflamingo gritted his teeth and said angrily, what? Exclamation Seraph. Kaido looked in the direction of Xia Yu. Sure enough, those 10 little kids looked very similar to the 7 warlords of the sea when they were young, and they all had the characteristics of the Lunaria race Seraph for sure. Jin also narrowed his eyes tightly. The capsule just now is also a strange thing. It can actually hold 10 Seraphim. Isn't this space technology? Either you can instantly travel to Onigashima, or a capsule can hold so many people. Xia Yu, this kid is really scary. Seeing the little devil rushing in front of him, Quinn showed a disdainful look. Everyone says your Seraph is powerful, but I, Quinn, don't agree. Black fire. The next moment, a large amount of laser beams were emitted from Quinn's mouth, hands, and claws. He just blasted towards the Seraphim that were rushing towards him. Brachiosaurus launcher. Missiles were launched one after another directly. The Seraphim Morai, who was at the front, was directly knocked away, but the next moment, other Seraphim attacked one after another. One after another, the finger guns hit Quinn's body in an instant. Quinn's entire huge body was instantly blown back by the powerful force. In the air, Quinn's body drew an arc. Hateful, the power of these little guys is so terrifying. PFFT, a large amount of blood oozed out from the corner of Quinn's mouth, and then he fell to the ground, creating a huge hole. Quinn fainted immediately. The crisis is over. Jan Guo smiled. You're amazing, Xia Yu. Fortunately I was scared to death just now. Jan Guo looked relieved. Garp, the 3 admirals, and others were also relieved. They did not dare to continue attacking and returned to Xia Yu's side. At this time, the pirates coming from all directions have also arrived at Onigashima. Lord Kaido, wait for our support. Jan Guo wiped the sweat from his forehead. Let's just wait until it expires this time. There will be plenty of opportunities to sabotage you later. Doctor, Xia Yu's safety is important. After Sengoku gave his orders, the 3 admirals, Garp, and others also returned to the battleship. However, before leaving, we still have to do some more destruction. Sakazuki grinned. The next moment, a dark dog emerged from Akanu's right arm. The entire Ghost Island shook, and a large amount of magma emerged, which indirectly caused a huge fire. Aokiji, Kizaru, and others also gave Onigashima the final blow before leaving. The miserable cries of the beast's pirates were everywhere. Hateful. Asshole. If you have the guts, let's keep fighting. Looking at the shocking damage left by the navy near Onigashima, Kaido was extremely angry and frustrated. Just wait, Kaido. When we have more universal capsules in the future, our navy will directly send 30,000 troops. Let's see how you can resist it. Jan Guo smiled slightly. At this time, when the army of the beast's pirates rushed near the warship, they all showed a smug look. Finally they came. Leave. Let me see where you're going. The entire Ghost Island has been surrounded by us. We have a full 20,000 troops. Just die under our human wave tactics. Kill these navy men. This is the fate of those who trespass into our beast's pirates' territory. The pirate minions shouted. Next moment Xia Yu directly used the capsule, and the huge battleship was directly put into the universal capsule by Xia Yu. Before, their target, the huge monster in front of them, suddenly disappeared out of thin air. The pirate minions of the beast's pirates all showed expressions of extreme surprise. Wait, how did that huge warship suddenly disappear? Am I hallucinating? It's not an illusion, it really disappeared. It seems that the capsule in that little devil's hand sucked it in. I know that kid. He was reported on the news before. That kid is Xia Yu, the greatest scientist in the world. The members of the Beast's pirates exclaimed in surprise. As for Xia Yu, they originally thought that being able to create the most powerful robot in the world was already Xia Yu's limit. Who would have thought that today a capsule that can hold warships has been invented? This is a space-based ninjutsu. He's just an 8-year-old kid. Is he that scary? At the spot, those who rushed over were completely stunned, with shock on their faces. When Kaido saw this scene, he was stunned on the spot. Xia Yu, it's Xia Yu again. First he summoned a large number of troops out of thin air, and now, like a magic trick, he took away a huge warship. If Xia Yu is allowed to continue researching and developing for the Navy, next time I wonder what kind of terrifying weapon Xia Yu will develop. Jin, the whole person, was completely stunned. This is the capsule from before. It can hold not only people but also warships. The corners of Jin's mouth twitched, and he felt that his 3 views were shattered. In Dr. Xia Yu's hands, it seems like anything can happen. Next moment the yellow flash and Xia Yu flashed a white light, and then the whole person disappeared completely. Looking at the Navy disappearing in front of him, and then looking at his own Onigashima which is now in a mess, Kaido is completely furious. Hateful. Damn Navy, they come and go as they please. What do they think of me, Kaido? Thunder gossip. The huge mace was smashed against the ground. In front of him, Kaido instantly smashed several huge deep pits. At this moment, Quinn, who had been knocked unconscious by the 7 warlords of the sea, shook his head and woke up. It's really terrifying. I never thought that the great Lord Plague would be knocked unconscious by some mere seraphs. Xia Yu, you are called the greatest scientist in the world. It seems that you deserve the title, but, ha 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 ha, I am not completely unrewarded. Chapter 95. Kaido obtains the Seraph fragment unexpectedly. Quinn actually started laughing then. The whole person came directly in front of Kaido with a look of joy on his face. Seeing Quinn's arrival, Kaido felt annoyed. Now that Onigashima has been destroyed like this, are you still in the mood to laugh? Did you go crazy? Don't bother me now, Quinn. Can't you see I'm furious right now? Kaido gritted his teeth and said angrily. Page 79. Even if it is the 3 calamities, Kaido, in a state of extreme anger, can smash it without hesitation. After hearing this, Quinn did not show any fear, but instead showed an even more proud look. Lord Kaido, don't be angry. A blessing in disguise. I have something very good to report to you. Compared to our losses, this good news means a greater gain, Quinn said proudly with a smile. Okay. Kaido narrowed his eyes. My place is in ruins after being destroyed by the Navy now, Quinn actually said. What greater gain is there? Speak, Quinn. If I'm not satisfied, you can just wait for my Thunderbagua, Kaido said angrily. Quinn was not panicked at all. Instead, he took out a small component from his hand and stretched it in front of Kaido. Lord Kaido, when I was fighting against the 7 warlords of the sea, Seraph, I was beaten unconscious, but at the same time, I also injured Seraph Moriah and obtained some of his parts. Quinn's eyes flickered, and his expression was filled with extreme excitement. What? Exclamation. Seraph parts. After hearing Quinn's words, Kaido's previous angry expression disappeared completely and was replaced by deep excitement. He hurriedly took the part from Quinn's hand. He was angry and depressed just now, but at this moment he suddenly let out a long roar to the sky. Ha ha ha. You're amazing, Quinn. You actually got this thing. From now on, Navy, if you want to raid me again, you have to consider your own strength, Kaido said excitedly. At this time, Jae-hin also rushed over. Lord Kaido, what makes you so excited? Jae-hin asked doubtfully. Ha ha. Jin, this is the Seraph part I got. What do you think? Am I much more powerful than you? Quinn was extremely proud. Seraph parts? Doesn't this mean that all the materials needed to make Seraphim are already in place? In this way, the Beast's pirates will also be able to have Seraph in the future. Not only do they no longer have to fear the Navy, but the Beast's pirates are likely to surpass Whitebeard and become the most powerful pirate group in the world. The future era will be called Kaido of Beasts. Jin swallowed his saliva and showed an expression of shock and excitement on his face. Pass on my order to hold a celebration dinner later. On the other side, on Cake Island, huge warships also appeared. Just when the ant was confused and wanted to go up to find out what was going on, a group of high-ranking naval officers suddenly came out of the ship. Big Mom, how are you? Aokiji said with a smile. When the ant saw it, she was shocked. Aokiji, you bastard, you're here again! Exclamation, and it's not just Aokiji. Sengoku, Garp, the three admirals, what's the situation? Again? And, this time, there are so many people. Have all the people in the Navy learned how to travel through time? Alarm! Sound the alarm! Big Mom's eyes widened, her face was filled with shock, and she screamed loudly. Ignoring the ant, volleys of artillery fire were fired from the warship. Rumble rumble, the entire Cake Island was in chaos. A large number of buildings were directly destroyed by the Navy. Nothing else matters, let's go destroy Big Mom's lab. Aokiji shouted loudly, and then, under the leadership of Aokiji, the three generals launched a fierce bombardment on Big Mom's laboratory. After doing all this, I waited for Big Mom's army to arrive and then left again. Big Mom collapsed on the ground, beating her chest and stamping her feet. Hateful. Why did the Navy suddenly appear? And what about that capsule? What's going on? That's right. Xia Yu, it must have been this kid Xia Yu who did it. Thinking of this, Big Mom became extremely angry. At this moment, the ant's phone suddenly rang. Big Mom, how's your experiment going? It can be heard that Kaido is in a very happy mood at this moment. Big Mom was in a bad mood, and when she heard Kaido's voice, she became even angrier. Bastard Kaido, you really are just asking for trouble. I don't know, Xia Yu, what strange technology have you developed? The airborne Navy suddenly arrived on my Cake Island. My lab was taken down by the Navy. Big Mom sighed, clenched her fists tightly, and looked angry. What? Your place was also raided by the Navy? That's me too. I have just investigated. The reason why so many people suddenly appeared on our side is because of Black Moria's mirror, Kaido said with a stern look in his eyes. Mirror? The ant slapped her head suddenly. Chapter 96. 5 Elders, who dares to assassinate us? I see, this must be similar to Lei's ability. These people moved here through the mirror. The old lady touched her head, looking as if she had suddenly realized something. Kaido finally understood, although the specific capsule technology is still unknown. However, if all the mirrors on the island are smashed, the Navy will not be able to cross over. Even if the capsule can hold more people, it's useless. Then, Kaido gave his orders directly to Jin, who was standing beside him. Pass my order. Anyone in Wano country who has a mirror will be killed without mercy, no matter who they are. Kaido roared. By the way, Big Mom, there's one more good thing I need to tell you. Kaido, who was angry before, suddenly showed a smug expression. Okay? Big Mom was confused. Her house had already been smashed by the Navy, so how could there be any good news? Could it be? Big Mom's eyes suddenly lit up. Kaido, did you obtain the Seraph fragment when fighting the Navy? Big Mom widened her eyes and said expectantly. Ha ha ha. You are really smart. Big Mom, you are right. I have obtained the Seraphim fragments of the Shichibukai level. Kaido grinned and said excitedly. After hearing Kaido's words, Big Mom immediately smiled happily. Ha ha ha, you're amazing, Kaido. It's worth it for me to give you the fish fruit. Now we can take revenge on the Navy. Big Mom was delighted. Kaido's eyes turned cold and revealed a ferocious look. That's right. Isn't it because the Navy is so arrogant now that they have killing machines? If we also have this kind of thing, it will be impossible for us to defeat their Navy. Kaido looked proud. This Navy has gone too far. Moreover, my own drought is still in the Navy's underwater prison. I will definitely take revenge. The old lady also had a ferocious look on her face. Yes, I will definitely avenge Kaido. Page 80. Kaido's face lit up with joy, and he directly told Big Mom his request. Big Mom, come join my beast's pirates. Since we're allies, I think it's safer to be together. And in this way it will also be beneficial for the technical exchange between Caesar Quinn and the Vinsmoke family, Kaido said with a smile. The ant narrowed her eyes tightly. Now that his laboratory has been destroyed, even if he has Seraph fragments, it will be impossible to create Seraph in the short term. And although you can smash all the mirrors, however, no one can guarantee that the Navy will continue to suppress themselves. His own Wano country is not like Onigashima in Wano country, which is protected by natural barriers. Compared with Kaido's territory, it is still very dangerous. Why not go to Kaido? After thinking for a moment, Big Mom finally came up with her own idea. Okay, Kaido. However, I can tell you in advance that I will go to your territory as a partner. I am not your deputy, Big Mom said with a stern expression. Ha ha ha, this is natural, Big Mom. Just like that, the two groups of the four emperors merged directly. On that day, Big Mom relied on Broly's ability and went to Onigashima before the mirror of Wano country was completely smashed. On the other side, after destroying Big Mom's laboratory, the Navy also returned to their base. Today is just a trial. When Xia Yu's universal capsule is mass-produced in the future, they can directly strangle the forces of the four emperors. By that time, in terms of combat power, there will be 10 Admiral-level Seraphim, and in terms of transportation, there will be illusion capabilities and universal capsules. For the four emperors, it's a piece of cake. I can't believe it, I really can't believe it. Making this world free of pirates has always been Garp's and my dream. We originally thought that this was just a dream and that this situation would never come true. But, Xia Yu, you showed us the possibility of realizing this wish. After the great victory, Jan Guo was very excited and praised Xia Yu. Vice Admiral Tsuru, who was standing beside him, also had a smile on his face. Yes, with Xia Yu here, I believe it won't be long before all the pirates on this sea can be cleared out by us. This is true justice. Lieutenant General, he narrowed his eyes and said with relief. Garp also laughed out loud. Before, I thought that domineering power was above everything else. But now, after meeting Xia Yu, my thoughts have completely changed. Ha ha ha. Only technology can surpass everything in this world. Xia Yu, you better do your best. I'm looking forward to the day when your skills will wipe out all the pirates in the world. Garp said excitedly. Okay, I won't tell you anymore. The universal capsule is really a good thing. It has great strategic significance for our Navy. I have to go to the 5 elders and report today's battle situation. I will immediately increase the funding for Dr. Xia Yu, Jan Guo said with a smile on his face. Afterwards, we went to the 5 elders. Among the powers, 5 old men were resting with their eyes closed. Suddenly, a ray of light appeared in the mirror in front of them. The 5 old men were all shocked. To be honest, they have lived to such an age and their own strength is very strong. However, even they had someone suddenly appear in front of them without anyone noticing. This made the faces of the 5 elders change drastically. Who? The old man holding the knife shouted loudly, his eyes full of vigilance. The other old men also had solemn expressions and looked horrified, able to come before them without anyone noticing. At the very least, it has to be a terrifying existence at the level of rocks. Chapter 97. Buy more capsules. What if the price goes up in the future? At this moment, a familiar voice suddenly came. Ha ha ha. Sorry, 5 elders, it's me. Don't be nervous, everyone. Jan Guo said awkwardly. I just want to tell the 5 elders about Xia Yu's skills as soon as possible, and then I can become poppy unexpectedly. It frightened the 5 old men. The next moment Jan Guo's entire figure, along with the yellow flash, appeared directly in front of everyone. Okay? After hearing what Jan Guo said, the five elders were all confused. It's the warring states period? But it shouldn't be. It is impossible for their observation hacky to fail to capture the atmosphere of the warring states period. Jan Guo, how did you get here? Before, why didn't we notice your presence? The blond old man expressed the doubts in the hearts of the five elders. After hearing the doubts of the five elders, Jan Guo grinned and revealed a smug smile. Ha ha ha. I was just about to explain to you. Actually, this thing is a new ability that Dr. Xia Yu gave to the yellow flash. As long as there's a mirror, the yellow flash can carry anything the size of a person at most. Go there. I was so excited that Xia Yu invented such a heaven-defying thing. So I didn't report it. I hope the five elders won't blame me. Jan Guo explained. Oh. After hearing Jan Guo's words, the five old men were all shocked. Doesn't this mean that it is so terrifying that we can go anywhere where there are people? To be honest, they originally thought that Xia Yu had reached his limit by being able to develop an Admiral-level Seraphim. However, now they finally understood that Dr. Xia Yu was not only capable of developing Seraphim, but was also capable of developing other technologies, even space technology. Not bad. With this thing, wouldn't it be easy to assassinate any of the four emperors in the future? The five old men looked at the yellow flash with satisfied expressions on their faces. But it's a bit small, as it can only carry one person. The curly-haired old man sighed. If he could bring more people with him, it would be very possible to even make the four emperors cease to exist in this world. That's exactly what I came here for. Actually, Dr. Xia Yu has invented another thing. This thing, combined with the magic mirror's ability, is a perfect match. Jan Guo said with a proud look on his face. Any other inventions? The five elders all widened their eyes and saw deep shock in each other's eyes. Isn't Dr. Xia Yu's speed of invention too fast? The former world's #1 scientist, Vegapunk, spent most of his life and only made a few decent inventions. Now Xia Yu has only been in the Naval Science Department for a few dozen days, but he has already achieved such results. Tell me, what is it? The five old men's dignified appearance disappeared, and each of them showed an expectant look. Under the gaze of the five elders, Jan Guo took out a universal capsule from his trouser pocket. Jan Guo, is this the little thing you told us about? The curly-haired old man asked suspiciously, looking at the universal capsule in Jan Guo's hand. Originally, I thought Xia Yu would invent some more powerful war machine or space technology product, but I never expected that it would be a pill. To be honest, the Navy's medical technology is still very advanced, which makes Xia Yu's new invention seem a bit mediocre. What disease can this capsule cure? The old man holding the knife said disappointedly. Cure? No, 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 don't be fooled by its appearance. It's called the Universal Capsule. Although it looks like a small capsule on the outside, it contains the power of space. The power of space? After hearing Jan Guo's explanation, the five elders were all shocked. It seems that they underestimated Xia Yu. I told you, Doctor. Xia Yu's invention must be extraordinary. Keep going, Jan Guo. The old man holding the knife smiled and motioned Jan Guo to continue. Don't underestimate this small capsule. It can hold giants as big as warships and sea monsters. Jan Guo raised the corner of his mouth slightly and said proudly, what? All right, legends, that's it for today. If you're ready for the next chapter, smash that like button and flood the comments right now. Remember, we've got 3 days to prove this story needs to continue. Subscribe so you don't miss the drop, and I'll meet you in the next audiobook.